Okay. Good evening, viewers. Welcome to this week's edition of our Situation Room. We are on election update from election. Viewers, welcome to Situation Room from Heritage Television here in London. We are on election update, where we are going to look at all the updates of the election in Nigeria, the gubernatorial and the State House of Assembly election that was held yesterday. And the result has actually been coming in. I'm having gentlemen here and lady. From my left, I'm having Mr. Adeoye Obanleowo, the spokesperson for the PDP. And I'm having Susie Reti, a public analyst. She's a friend of the house. She always been here whenever we have a tough task. And I strongly believe Reti always dealt with it with an independent mind.
Thank you.
She got no any affiliated to any political parties.
No.
She always say it as it is.
Thank
I'm
you.
having Mr. Femi Oke, the DG of the Nigerian Institute. He's here on my immediate right.
Nice to see you.
He is one of the strong members of the APC here in the United Kingdom. And Femi can argue and campaign even to any PDP man, change that person's mind to vote for APC. He has that strong power. On my immediate right of Femi is Mr. Ayo Ogudimu, Citizen AY, the spokesperson of African Action Congress,
Yes.
AAC.
That's correct. Yes.
In London. Mr. Ogudimu, you are welcome. And I'm having the gentleman, Ayo Akinfe, author, journalist, and political analyst. Ayo his view is always candid. He has no any political affiliated to any political party, both in Nigeria and United Kingdom. So we are on here now. Before we go, I would like to invite Mr. Mr. Obanleowo. Please let me quickly go to your state. I know you are very happy with the situation in your state. Many people have been thinking that maybe he's going home, but they said no, he's still going to where they thought he shouldn't go. They now said Oyo is now what today. So, Mr. Obanleowo, what is your opinion on yesterday's election? Seeing PDP coming back into Oyo?
Well, thank you, Mr. Moderator. First and foremost, let me just use this opportunity to commiserate with the family of one of our... Okay, all right. Elections were held yesterday across the country, and it didn't come as a surprise at all that we actually wrestled power back from APC in our state. We fought a good campaign. The campaign was based solely on policies and what we believed in. We had a very strong candidate who we believed in, Engineer Seyi Makinde. He was firm, diligent, and believed in the policies in which he had in place. And the people of our state buy into his ideologies. And going by the institution of things in our state in the last 8 years, a lot of people, I think they were fed up with Governor Jumobi's way, methods of doing things in our state. They weren't happy with
Style of
the
governance.
style of government, everything. Most especially what happened in Lautech a few years ago. You could see the confrontation he had with the students. So the man, obviously became a laughing stock. Oyo State wasn't moving forward. I mean, I grew up in Ibadan. I know what it's like to live in Ibadan. Ibadan is a very peaceful state, a very peaceful city. Oyo State is known to be a very progressing state, but unfortunately, the state has actually stalled. Under this present dispensation. We fought a very good campaign, and when the results started coming in yesterday, I had no doubt that obviously the citizens of our state wanted change, and that change we got it yesterday by the results which were coming in, and the people spoke, and the election results didn't lie. We had our candidates who was given the mantle of office to serve as governor of our state for the next 4 years, and unfortunately, even in Governor Jimobi's polling booth, he lost there as well. So that just goes to show that when you are in the public domain, you have to understand that it is not about yourself, it's about the people that you're meant to be serving. And that became clearer yesterday by people coming out en masse to vote for PDP. And that's why we wrestled power back from APC in that state.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obanlewo. Susie.
Yes.
Your state is not part of the state where the election was held.
No.
Your Osun state. But at the same time, the question I'm going to put to you is an area which I know that you always like to discuss about. Throughout the federation now, we haven't seen any state among the frontline political parties in Nigeria, let's say the APC and the PDP and some of the new parties. None of them have actually filed a woman candidate. What do you think? Do you think that maybe what caused it? Are they not giving the women the chance, or what really happened?
No, I truly believe that in Nigeria, the men are not ready to give the women a chance.
Okay.
I think that until we get into that position where we can recognize the power and the intelligence that a woman can bring, it's not going to happen. And that is because the government is chauvinistic in their ways. The majority of the Nigerian culture believes that a man should be in charge. And unless we can get rid of this idea that a man has to be in charge, because there were female candidates out there, but the only one, we had the presidential one, didn't we, who was part of the campaign and part of the debate, and within a week of the debate, she was pulling out.
No, she pulled out by herself.
Yeah, so that's why I said she was pulling out. She pulled out by herself, which is really sad. So, come 2023, we need some women to, stand up and be there, because we need a mixture of minds to rule a country like Nigeria.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Susie. Femi, I would like to throw the question of the Lagos State to you. Though you are an Egbaman, but when it comes to Lagos political landscape of Lagos, you are very conversant with it and you always like to discuss it. So about the election yesterday, what do you think? Were you surprised where the victories went to?
No, I wasn't surprised, and I'm delighted, just as my colleague Adeoye is delighted in Oyo. I'm also delighted in victory in Lagos. It was inevitable. There was just a thought that maybe the gap might have been closed a bit more because of the agitation of so-called non-Indigens and so on. But of course, the gap wasn't closer. In fact, it was over 500,000 votes difference. There could have been apathy. You could say that people felt they weren't interested in voting, so the voter turnout was quite small. But the APC faithful came out in their numbers. Of course, the registered voters are 6 million. The voters that actually took part is just about maybe under 1 million, so it's still very low. But it's a great victory for us, and we've done well in some other states. And I always wonder how many of our opposition parties have been saying that it's the elections are rigged. I mean, how in a situation would it be rigged when Oyo State, APC state, has been given over to the PDP? There's rumours that even Kanu now, the massive Kanu, you know, that gave Buhari 1.4 million votes.
But the result of Kanu is not yet confirmed.
Yeah, that's why I said there's rumours. There are rumours. But even if let's even say that Ganduje wins, but the margin of victory is going to be quite low. I think they're almost neck and neck at the moment. So that in itself speaks volumes to the power, if you like, of the Kwankwasia movement, and also the power of the electorate. I think the electorate now and the PVC are actually counting. And that's why Ajimobi could be voted away. That's why in Oyo and in Lagos State, Sanwo-Olu continuity. In Ogun State, we've got victory. You know, Amosun is and his APM, the Amosun People's Movement, as I like to call them. They have not been victorious. It's been great for APC. So I think the people are counting. I think we should. It gives more credence to the validity of INEC and the results. Of course, we've got issues in Rivers State, but by and large, the elections have been pretty good.
Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Okay. Mr. Ogudimu, your party, African Action Congress, can you give us any update or perhaps any comment among where you have governors that contested?
Now we have Awara doing well in River State, and at the time of the suspension that was suddenly put in place by INEC, it seems that we were doing quite well, and we're still waiting. The suspension, I believe, is still in place, so we're not quite sure what's happening there. That's a strong point for us, but we need a confirmation from INEC as to why they put the suspension in place. It opens all kinds of questions, because INEC should be a body that's transparent, that's actually willing to make sure this process is. People can follow it without any questions or wondering why they suddenly put suddenly suspend the whole process. So we'll wait to see what the result is. Indications are Awara is doing well. Whoever the support is coming from, we're grateful. But we need that process,
APC.
Yeah, but I'm not. No, we're not. I'm not. Whoever we don't mind. Look, we are telling. What we are doing is we are telling with the people of River State to go out there and they listen. Most importantly, they listen to the message of AAC, and the message was get out there and vote for the party that you believe in, and they believe in us.
Thank you very much indeed.
So sorry, you think they got that message from you guys?
Let's just have a look. The numbers, the votes are what count. But again, we have to see what INEC says at the end, because they've suspended a minute, which is a shame, to be honest.
Mr. I have this question for you because I believe you are the person which I strongly believe could handle this question. Before the election, there's an issue of non-indigent in Lagos State. So this kind of comment, allegation, counter-allegation here and there. And one guy who spoke to me before the last show told me that I said, how can they say a state where you have a traditional ruler? Even those who call those who said they are landlord, they have CO4. Did you know the meaning of CO4? For you to have a CO4 and not call yourself a landlord. So I want you to look at the issue of that non-indigent in Lagos State. And people were believing that, many people were actually been speculating that maybe the vote of that minority could actually upturn where the indigent intended the vote to go. So I want your critical analysis on that area, please.
Well, first of all, a lot of people who've been commenting on this thing are not familiar with the history of Lagos.
Brilliant.
Lagos used to be a vassal of the old Benin Empire. The only indigents in Lagos,
please
prior to
speak up.
The only indigents in Lagos prior to the arrival of the Oba of Benin's vassals, who are the Awori fishermen, who were on Lagos Island, when Dahomey was a vassal of the old Benin Empire, the Oba of Benin sent an army to go to quell an uprising in Dahomey. They stopped off on the way. They saw these Awori fishermen at Ido, the current site of the Nigerian Railway terminus. And there they interacted with the people. They went to Dahomey. On the way back, they settled, they appointed somebody, a monarch, who later became the Oba of Lagos, and who used to report to the Oba of Benin. Now, what's happened over the years is that the British came, or the Portuguese first, then the British. Lagos expanded, and people started coming in at independence. When Lagos became, before independence, in 1853, when Lagos became a crown colony, Akintoye signed an agreement with the British, and that ended the Oba of Benin's rule over Lagos. But since then, people have been coming from all over Nigeria. So all these people calling themselves indigenes, they came from somewhere.
Sure.
You understand? So whether you came from Osun or from Anambra or from Gombe, it doesn't make any difference. Now, I think what we've seen within the last week is that the ruling party in Lagos got a bit jittery, very fearful that, hey, some of these so-called non-indigenes might vote for the opposition party. And then we started getting all this, oh, who are you? It's not no man's land, blah, blah, blah. But the fact remains that if you look after people, they will vote for you. I mean, when there's no power, it affects everybody.
Sure.
When the roads are bad, it affects everybody. You know, when there's unemployment, it affects everybody. So people should go out and campaign on the issues. If you offer the Nnewi spare parts dealer interest-free loans or low-interest loans, you offer him 24-hour electricity, you offer him good tar roads on this, he will vote for you. So I think this is just another attempt to forge the issue and create and manufacture problems where they don't exist. But for me, you know, Lagos belongs to everybody. It's a federal capital territory. And, you know, prior to independence, in the First Republic actually, a lot of people don't know this, President Yaradua's father, Umaru Musa Yaradua, was the minister of the Federal Capital Territory in Lagos.
Lagos Afia, Minister for Lagos Afia. Thank you very much, Ayo. Honorable Obanlewo, let us quickly look at the election as a whole within Nigeria. It was held yesterday. From the situation of, with the situation report, how can you assess the election?
You see, we cannot really say we have a grip of what is happening now.
Raise your voice.
Because obviously all the results haven't actually started coming in. But in the spirit of fairness, with all the states that have been declared so far, I have to applaud ANEC and say, in the spirit of fairness, there has been tremendous improvement based on what we experienced in during the presidential elections. Apart from one or two issues in few states, I think in Oyo State and one other state, I think in the spirit of fairness, the results that have been coming in, we just have to appreciate the fact that, look, there is tremendous improvement compared to what we experienced during the presidential elections. So I would say, so far so good, but until all the results start coming in and people can make up their minds whether, you see, one thing I always understand about politics is when you're on the losing end, then issues start coming in and people start complaining that maybe in their jurisdiction, election rigging or malpractices, one sort of excuses or the other, which is quite understandable, because if you've lost an election or your candidate has lost, you know, there's bound to be, you know, one excuse or the other. But so far, based on my communication with people back home, they felt, look, we're not going to get it right in one day. Elections are going to be conducted. You know, there's always going to be vote rigging. There's always going to be complaints. There's always going to be violence. That's part and parcel of, you know, how the system is. You know, there's nothing we can do about that. But unfortunately, that's the system, and that's the way, and that's the terrain in which, you know, people tend to operate. But having said that, I'm not saying that's the way it should be, but unfortunately, that's the way things are now. But based on your question, I think with the results coming in yesterday, a lot of people have actually, said most of the results coming in have actually been very fair. I've just spoken to a few people. Lagos State, the APC candidate won fairly in Lagos State. Our candidate won in Oyo State. Other states that have been coming in, it's been free and fair. But as I said, who am I to jump to that conclusion until all the other states have had the results declared? So
Thank you very much.
We'll see how events unfold.
Thank you very much, Honorable Obale. Susie, I'm coming to you.
Okay.
Over the years,
Susie, you disagree with me?
I totally disagree with you.
Over the years, there has always been the issue of vote buying,
Yeah.
undue influence on the electorate.
Mm-hmm.
The politicians, they always act their way when it comes to election.
Yeah.
And many people believe that this year is not even left out as well.
No.
And the situation whereby many people have been pointing, accusing finger on politicians.
Yeah.
I'm of the opinion that it is the electorate that is the people are to blame for this issue, because it's whereby somebody give you, or perhaps somebody give you money and direct you, because it's no advice.
Yeah.
Influence you to vote for a particular party without being, going through their manifesto to know exactly what that party is going to, is going to deliver. Unlike this year, I don't even think that the issue of manifesto is there. So what do you think? Who are the people to blame now? Is it the politicians? Is it the people on the street are to blame regarding incitement, inducement of money for
You see,
election buying? Vote
from
buying.
what Ade just said, you see, there's one thing about Nigeria. We accept things so easily. And when we accept them, then how do we expect them to change? I've heard a few people say that rigging will always be part of the election. Mm-hmm. So that means it's okay then. That means it's fine. How can we blame the people? Because the people are hungry. When people are hungry, then it's easy to buy them. If they were not hungry, you can't buy them. So it's like one of my friends this morning was at a her polling booth, and she wrote on she updated her status and said, APC guys are here, and as people are voting, they are trying to buy their votes with money. So once that is happening, how can you call it a fair election? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can't sit down and say something is fair if it is not fair. It's not possible. Also, I was rooting for Tunde Badamasi for Lagos.
Okay.
And Tunde spoke about them buying votes as well. So, if you're buying votes right at the polling booth itself, how many votes have you brought? So, we have to be realistic. We need to stop saying, elections will always be rigged. INEC has 4 years to prepare. Why? They should be explaining why elections can still be rigged in this day and age. Why they have not gone technical. It's ridiculous whether we like it or not.
Thank you very much, Susie. Femi, we will take it further, but before we will look at it from this angle. For instance, there are some certain states where, no doubt about it, people's expectation is on these states. Among those states is Lagos, Ogun, Oyo, and Kwara. Most of these states, there are some kind of different names being given to it with a massive campaign to ensure that the situation has to change. Ogun State, there are some allegations that, vote buying, things is going to change, it's going to either way. It's your state as well. I want you to look at it from the angle of vote buying, undue influence on electorate. what are the issues there. And when APC won, many people were believing that, okay, due to this fracas that happened between Amosun and the APC candidate Abiodun, observers believe that maybe Buriji Kashamu and the PDP is going to benefit from that. So what's your view?
Yeah. First and foremost, before I get into that, I want to say that we can't really blame the referee for the vote buying and inducement and rigging and all that kind of stuff. The people to blame squarely should be with the politicians. Our do and die politicians are the ones that are creating the mess and the problems within our system. And then they have to rely on legislation, the Electoral Act and the regulations. Now, if those legislations and the regulations are faulty, then it's down to the legislation, the legislators, or the legislators I like to call them, to create new laws, to amend those laws, to make the laws more robust so that it reduces the incidence of rigging. There are many things that we can do with the electoral law and with the regulations, which we can talk about later. So that will curtail the possible rigging. So that's on the rigging side. With regards to, again, vote inducement and vote buying, I don't believe that that has been a major situation in this election. And in fact, I've been listening to a lot of the media reports, the observers, independent observers, international observers, local observers. Vote buying has not been as prominent or has been widespread as may have happened during the time of, say, the Ekiti election, the Osun election. Remember, the use of card reader is more prevalent now, and it's more difficult, and they put in systems where you can't have your phone to take a picture of your ballot to show that you voted for a particular party. The booth has been put in a certain way so that people can't overlook and see what you're doing. So a lot of those things are in place so that restricts the incidence of vote buying. Also, you've got to remember that EFCC has been on the watch out. They've arrested so many people who are who's got cash resources beyond their means. Of course, I may talk about certain other characters that may have had bullion vans or whatnot, but that's a different matter. But we're talking specifically about vote buying in terms of giving money to the elector or to actually change the course of their votes. And you see that could never have worked, because there's the allegation in Ogun State that incumbency, the power of incumbency, the governor will use the state resources to oppress and intimidate the people. But clearly it's shown that it has failed. If he ever did, I mean, he stopped the APC from putting up their billboards. Their banners weren't allowed to be put, and they were destroyed. Their adverts weren't placed on the radio. But nevertheless, the people have spoken, and they spoke, and they've chosen a different course. In fact, one of the highlights that will be set in this election, that I see from the election, is that change has become the way and the mantra that's moving forward. So if you look at Oyo State, which is an APC state, has changed to PDP. The incumbent who tried to install his own successor, the people rolled against him. I mean, there was an incident last year where he had attacked or sent his agencies to destroy a radio station. That was in Oyo. So I think that callousness, the people spoke up against him and made sure that, you know what, you're not going to be victorious. So even though they might be APC at heart, they chose to go with PDP. In Ogun State, the governor decided, I am the will of I can tell the people the way to go and they're going to follow me. But the people said, you know what, you're not in control of us. We're going to decide what we want to do, what's in our heart. And they've chosen something completely different to what he thought was going to be the way. And so the disgrace that happened in
Oyo?
No, the disgrace that happened in the MK Abiola Stadium, where they, disgraced they attacked the presidency and stuff. So the party has been vindicated. The people have been vindicated. They said, we're going to give you a bloody nose. So I don't really think that rigging, that is not the kind of rigging that's been happening. The kind of rigging that most probably could possibly happen and is being widely spoken about is where they collude with INEC staff at the collating section of things, where they try to juxtapose figures. That is a possibility. But with the openness of information, the social media and stuff like that now, where people can have copies of the ballot, the results posted in their units, the frequencies are getting less and less now. Although it's still happening, but it's less and less. And so there's always recourse to the courts to justify that, look, these figures are not the figures that were at the polling booths. And then you also got finally, just wrapping up, there's also the incidents where people are not using card readers. Now, what they've said is that if card readers are not being used, the votes in those votes are not allowed to be put on the ballot anymore. So a lot of that has been happening, and wherever there's any confusion, as there's always going to be confusion, people have recourse to the tribunal and the courts. But where those votes that are sort of in the balance are less than the margin of victory, it wouldn't make any difference. So that's why the results will stand. And that's why, to be honest with you, Adelia was saying that there's a marked difference between these elections and the elections that happened just 2 weeks ago. I will be saying that no, actually the elections were quite more or less the same. Of course,
I disagree.
If the results don't favour you, then of course at that stage you will say that that's a problem. But having said that, finally, I'll just say that, of course, 2 weeks is a time
This guy's a magician.
2 weeks is a time for INEC to have learnt some lessons.
2 weeks?
Yeah, what I'm saying is the security agencies were more in control this time. But then again, you see...
Less people came out this time. Of course they were more in control. There were empty booths this time.
Not in all states. Not in all states. For example, in Ogun State, I'll find out, in Ogun State, you'll find that there was more turnout because that was a more passionate place. The competition was stronger, so they'll come out. So places where they think, you know what, Abia, they think, what's the point of me voting? PDP are going to write the results, so there's no point in me voting. So they didn't turn out. And you go and look at Abia votes, they're very much down. But in places like Oyo, Ogun, that people are keen, they're going to come out.
Fabi, I'm still coming to you for one particular state.
All right.
Ayo Gutimu, I want you to look at, I would like to hear your reaction regarding vote buying, undue influence, ballot snatching, and even some kind of intimidation for some voters, for them to vote for a party that they are not interested in voting. Can you analyze that?
I mean, the laws as ever. The laws that we have in the country are very clear, and just like the Constitution, it's clear cut. They're the rules, you adhere to it, and there are consequences. The problem we have is the application of that rule. INEC rules are clear. There should be no exchange of money. There should be, you shouldn't be bribing the electorate. You should all of this stuff. There should be there are many things that the candidates from both APC and PDP, they flouted INEC rules. What we are not seeing from INEC is the application or the will or the intent to go at these people and actually apply the law, the INEC rules as they are written. And without that will in place, it leaves opportunity for governors. I mean, someone on the toll gate, people were being given a bottle of Coke and say Sanwo-Olu as they were going through the toll gate. I mean,
that wouldn't compel them to vote for
evidence?
You'd be surprised.
Look,
You'd be
surprised. For APC for a bottle of Coke.
You'd be surprised.
Let's be real now. Let's be real.
I've got videos. And the guy was saying, and the lady was saying Sanwo-Olu.
Fabi, I can tell you're APC.
Is there any kind of a picture?
There's no
or
doubt
any
about that. There's no doubt about that. But I know that no one is going to vote for any party because of a bottle of Coke.
You've had your say. Let me just say. Now, I just wanted to just bring that in. And then, of course, there are issues where, again, not leaving our PDP. Again, BTP were trying. That's what Agbaje was trying to ignite the indigenous issue by talking about. Yes, we are going to give you a king or whatever in Lagos. That is inducement. Yeah. That's inducement of the electorate. Now, what we need in Nigeria is. We need to review INEC after this election. Serious reviewing. Whether or not the man was able to do the job or the whole structure was a failure, that we need to understand. That's either one or both. What is definitely clear is this, that the will to ensure that Nigerians would have a safe, secure, and a transparent election was totally absent in this election. Totally
Yes, I
absent.
agree. I agree.
There are
This
too
is not
many.
true.
There are too many. Look, there's in Ogu, River State today, women were stopping the army from jumping over the fence to try and get the ballot boxes, and they were saying, "We no go agree.
Yeah, I
we
saw
no go."
that, yeah.
There are videos out there.
There are videos,
Let's be
yeah.
honest about this. Look, if we want to have going forward, and unfortunately, the way we have the elections set now, it's difficult for anybody to challenge what we have now. But going forward, Nigerians, this is our opportunity to get engaged. 2023, we need to ensure that we impact this election positively. We need every Nigerian. Sovereignty belongs to you as a Nigerian. And the government derives these powers through you. You give them the power. Section 14.3a of the Nigerian Constitution. Go and look at it. You have a role to play as a Nigerian. Wake up, get involved, get engaged. Get engaged. Because if you're silent, they will sell you lies, and you will never get infrastructure. So Nigerians, ultimately, the responsibility lies with us. But if we don't know our rights as laid out in the Constitution and begin to demand those rights from those we elect into office, we will have failed governance in the next 50 years.
Mr. Akefe, please kindly help me look at the situation of the election as a whole regarding the last presidential election, then this gubernatorial and the state House of Assemblies. So, what are your views? Do you think it all went well as expected?
It didn't go, it wasn't perfect. There were a lot of hiccups that need to be addressed. Now, in response to my colleague here, I actually do not agree that the electoral law is okay as it is. First and foremost, I would like to see a law brought in making it illegal to hand out branded bags of rice and gari to voters. That should be a criminal offense. 2, party leaders should not be allowed to drive bullion vans into their compound a week to election. We need to because we all know that money was used for inducement. Let's be honest about it. All those, there's so many little things that need to be tightened up. Now, with regards to the election itself, we need to go wholly electronic. The unique nature of Nigerian politics is such that rigging takes place in remote rural areas, away from the cameras, in villages, where between the polling unit and the collation center, you can falsify the figures. If everything is electronic, I mean, when we have our contested shows and the musicals, people vote electronically and it goes smoothly. Now you look at all our banks, they all have debit cards, whereby MasterCard or whatever, they use these cards and they're very, very efficient. Probably we need to outsource the provision of PVCs to some of these people to make them tamper-proof. And we also, need to up the presence of electronic voting so we can cut out these instances of what we've seen lately. And then lastly, the 2 main political parties have got to do something about calling their members to orders. Because we've seen, a lot of unexpected thuggery in some areas, whereby parties see that they're going to lose in that one area, then they tell their thugs to go in there and snatch the ballot box. INEC, in all fairness to them, INEC cancel the elections in such areas. But we've got to get the parties to stop doing this. There's only so much the security agencies can do. If parties want to snatch ballot boxes or cause disruption, they will find a way to do it. But I don't know. The 2 parties need to be sat down and given a good talking to.
Thank you very much.
But there's more than 2 parties.
Quick one. What I said, please go and look at section 14.2a of the Nigerian Constitution. Sovereignty belongs to you. Just to make sure I get that.
Thank you, I agree. Susie, the security of people and that of
Ballot boxes
on election days. What are your own view on that? Is everything being adequate?
I did not understand why we're using such flimsy boxes as the ballot boxes, and they're meant to be secure. We saw so many of them just being chucked on the floor and being broken. So that means that there was no security where those boxes are concerned in the first place. And if you're not going to make these votes secure, there was no locks on them, so they could be opened along the way and things could be changed. So how can anyone sit there and say that that was a fair election when we saw those boxes scattered all over the place, broken in the gutter, papers flying all over the place, and those elections were not redone again? How can we? Results have been named. How can you call that a fair election? How can you call, what has INEC been doing for 4 years to the point that they would be allowed to cancel an election at 3 in the morning when Nigeria was asleep? You understand? Why is that okay for that to happen? And then, to me, I think that by the time they cancelled those elections at 3 in the morning when people were sleeping, now you imagine the people in the rural areas that do not have access to the internet or do not have access to electricity. And that is a large part of Nigeria that is like that. How do they know? Even when we talk about Nigeria going electronic, I know I just said it and I know Ayo just said it, but then I think, what would happen in the villages? Is it possible? Are we being realistic, or are we going to put internet in these villages within the next 4 years?
I'll have to agree.
You see, I mean,
It's a selection
I
rather
mean,
than
I think
an election.
I'm going to point. I want to just add 1 or 2 things to what my sister just said. Now, you see, part of good governance is to. I've always been an advocate of that. Devolution. You see, when you develop the rural areas and you give them a sense of belonging, then all these things that you've mentioned now, there will be no need for us to worry about all these issues. Devolution of power, you see, when they have good roads, good infrastructures, electricity, then there will be no need for us to worry about what is happening in all the villages and all the rural areas, because everything that they need is at their disposal. So, for Nigeria to move forward as a country, we need to allow our governors to delegate more powers to the local governments. When you delegate more powers to the local governments, then local governments, they are actually the grassroots politicians. They will now designate powers to the councillors and the people that matter within the community. That is devolution of power. Don't just focus more on the capitals and neglect the suburb areas. When you encourage devolution, I mean, take for instance, in my state, we can say where I come from, most of the allegations being leveled against the Amusu administration is he focused solely on Abeokuta and forgot the other regions. When you were contesting for office 8 years ago, you requested and you got the mandate of all indigenes of Ogun State, i.e. from people from Yewa, Ijebu, Abeokuta, Remo. So a lot of people in that state now feel they've been marginalized. When it came to him administering fairness throughout the whole state. So, and that's where devolution comes into place. Encourage and make sure that all those areas that are dissatisfied, you encourage them and make sure that certain things are in place. Why would somebody in Imeko need to come to Abeokuta to come and work if all the facilities he or she needs are there? With good schools, the roads are good, telephone facilities. When all these things are in place, there will be no need for somebody in those parts of the region to say they want to come to Abeokuta or they need to go to Lagos, because everything, they have their markets where they can buy their things. They have very good schools, they have very good libraries. When everything is in place, when you encourage devolution, it takes care of business.
If I may,
Thank you very much.
If I may, Susie was asking. Susie was asking whether we can have all that in place within the next 4 years.
Before the next election.
It is possible.
Within that scope.
Yes. Look, it is possible. You see, what I always say is this. When you have a government where there is a sincerity of purpose, when you have a government in place whereby you respect the mandate that is given to you, when you take oath of office, you are swearing allegiance to the people who elected you into that position. So which means within a limited time frame, 4 years, to whom much is given, much is expected.
So that you get the
So within that time
democracy.
frame, you see, because we all know that you have a duty to perform within a specified period of time. So there will be no room for excuses to say, oh, I didn't have enough time. So if you've been given 4 years to do a job, your people expect you to perform to a reasonable standard
Within that frame.
within that time frame.
I'm afraid that
Thank you. Let me quickly come to Femi. Femi, I want us to help us look at the current result of the states.
Okay.
And let's see
Where we
which
are.
state got what state.
Okay.
Some of the states that.
Okay, so if we
So
start
for the interest of our viewers at
Okay,
home, for
so
them
if
to know precisely.
the results that INEC have
Could declare now,
already
yeah.
so far, we've got Abia State, which is stayed with the PDP. Governor Ikpeazu is
yeah.
going to go for a second term. We have Enugu State, which is again PDP. Governor Ugwanye.
Defeated,
So
this guy.
he's there again. Lagos, as we've spoken already, Sanwo-Olu, APC. Ogun State, Dapo Abiodun, APC. Oyo State is PDP with Makinde, who's going to become the new governor. In Kwara, we have Otoge has performed their magic, and we have Governor Rasak of APC. Gombe, I think, is sort of retained with APC. Kaduna, I believe, has been announced. Yes, that was APC. So the controversial El Rufai is going for a second term. I believe the last one is Sokoto, which is also APC.
So
It's gone APC. Yeah.
So, okay, thank
Rivers
you.
has been suspended, and that's where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Kife,
You've excluded me now. You've had. I need to say mine. Now, let me just touch up on.
Okay,
what's been spoken. I just don't want to
He
be
thought he was
excluded.
giving you.
Yeah. So what I wanted to just. I thought it was quite rich of the PDP to say that you can deliver all these things in 4 years. This is a party that had 16 years and couldn't deliver what they're talking about, and they're now saying it can be delivered in 4 years. This is amazing to me. I just find it.
Femi.
It's just, let me just finish. I didn't. You speak when you're speaking. So the two of you are saying electronic voting, and again, you see, we need to live in reality. You know, you also said that most 80% of Nigerians are living in the rural areas. The percentage of Nigerians that have got access to education, that is a fact. It is. It's not.
Yeah, I never said
It's not as
that,
much as 50. Most of the people live in the rural areas. I mean, a larger percentage are moving away from the rural areas into the cities. But most of the people live in the rural areas. All the farmers, all the people living in the village. So they don't have access to, and even we don't even have 100% coverage of telephony in Nigeria.
That's what we said, yeah.
That's one thing. So then how many of them are educated? What is the percentage of education in terms of our community? I think it's about not up to more than 40% of people are literate.
No, our literacy rate is 60% or 65%.
Well, I mean, it's all conjecture. I mean, we can say all these things.
No, it's
Because
yeah.
accurate
The
figure.
figures aren't accurate there, but I don't believe it's as much as 60.
Femi's figure is too low, please.
Look, I'm just telling you as it is. We're in a situation where a significant proportion of our youth are not in school. The young children are not going to school. So there's a lot of kids that are going to come out again, not going to school, about 12 million or whatever, and it's happening every year, and they're multiplying all the time. What I'm just trying to say to you is the factors stacked against electronic voting are such that is that Iya that's in the village, how is she going to use, she's never seen a computer before, she's not had a smartphone, how is she going to be able to use this facility to vote? The people are saying, oh, she can go, it's like just going to your cash machine and making options. Have they ever been to a cash machine, these people? Most of them haven't. Do they even have bank accounts? What is the percentage of Nigerians that have got bank accounts? So when we start going into all these things, the level of education and stuff, full electronic voting is not going to happen right now. But what we can have, we can have things like electronic transmission of results. There's no reason why you're at the polling booth, you've done your votes, all the party agents have signed it off, bang, it's gone up to headquarters. Why do we need to be getting into a vehicle? There's some states it takes 7 hours to, in Jalingo, I don't remember the state, it takes 7 hours to get to the city, to the capital city. Yeah. So we're now waiting for them to bring the physical paper, 7 hours. You know, and who knows, there could be an accident on the way, there could be kidnapped on the way, and then you're waiting for them, and then you're wondering why INEC is waiting for the results. Of course they'll be waiting for the results, but we need to change, like I said to you before, I didn't say that I was satisfied with the electoral laws. I actually said our laws need to change, and it's our legislators who are not doing it. They need to change the laws so that electronic transmission of results happens at the polling booth. So once, and you know, I haven't come up with a solution. I said, each of the party agents, you can verify their ID with their fingerprints, with their biometrics. So each of the party agents have to verify and say, yes, I accept these results, it's punched into the thing, and it's transmitted. There could be no confusion, because what happens now is that they do it by signing. So they say, oh, your party agent has signed. How do you know that that signature wasn't forged?
You don't.
How do they even know if that's a legitimate signature?
You don't.
So all these things are put in place by our politicians, our do-or-die politicians, to create the kind of flexibility so that they can do all this nonsense. So it's down to us. I think the agenda,
deliberate.
It's deliberate. It's absolutely deliberate.
Down to APC then?
It's not down to, look, these
They
laws,
were in charge.
These laws, you see, you can't make a law if the legislature that's in place are against you. So you have people like Saraku, thank God he's gone. He was the president of the Senate, but he was actually PDP. He was wolf in sheep clothing. So he's not going to push the agenda of APC. He's going to push the agenda of PDP, which is for them to take over power, not for the, you know, not for change to happen. Okay. So the new government, I mean, we've got new legislators coming in now. It's down for us, the civil groups, the AACs and the like, to pressure them to change these laws as a matter of urgency. So we should give them an agenda. In the first 100 days, these are the laws that you need to change. The electoral law, diaspora voting, devolution that you're talking about. Yeah. Look, the problem with our local governments is that our governors are demigods. So the federal government gives them money to go to the local authority, and they keep it for themselves. They don't even give it to the local authority. That's one. Then on top of it, there's no local government elections. Do you think that any of the local government elections are genuine? Every time, whoever's the state in power, they get 100% of the local governments. 100%. How can that be real? So how would parties like the AAC come into it when they doctor it? And not only that, some of them don't even have elections. They appoint the local government chairman, which is against the law.
Against the law. Yeah.
And why are the civil society not taking them to court? They say, you must have elections.
But who's in power?
It's not, look, these are different. The federal government doesn't control the state government. The state government doesn't have control. The federal government hasn't got control over the state government. That's just the way it is.
The number to call is 020-800-46100, then option 9. Viewers at home, anybody who's interested to participate, the line is now open. Mr. Ayo Ogudimu, the state, most of the local government, the local government as a whole in Nigeria, they are under the state governors. Yes. And many people have actually been clamoring for autonomy for the state government, for the local government. Do you think this is the right time, or perhaps it's been overdue? So I'd like to hear your opinion.
It is definitely long overdue. One of the things, and again, the issue we talked that Femi spoke about, security vote, has a direct impact on that. Now, when the money is given to the state, which is the governor, so he oversees everything, and then instead of that money cascading down as a natural course of, the natural course of things, down to the local government, that doesn't happen. What happens is the governor holds on it to maintain control. He will now sort of hold tight of that post and give to who he feels. And so there's no autonomy for the local governments to function. And again, what that means is that straight away, there are sections within the Constitution that relates to how the laws, the House of Assembly has actually a very, very strong role to play in this particular section.
But they've been paid off.
But they've been paid off. Now again, what the key to all of this, like I said before, we have on paper everything looks fine. I'm not saying the Constitution is perfect, but on paper we have the laws there, at least the outlines that just enough for us to be able to actualize it and make it function. But in reality, when you have something like the security vote put in, that's not part of our constitution, put in as an addendum, and then that is now used by successive governments as a way of operating governance, then we are building in failure alongside the real constitutional structure. So that is operating outside the normal rules of the constitution. And we have this here going and controlling things. So that's the difficulty. Now, what we need to do is, I agree with Femi there, the legislatures, the senators and the House of Reps, we need to put pressure on them to now look at passing bills and laws to actually begin to see how we can look at what is security vote. Should it have a role? How is it impacting the local government? What does that mean for the people on the street? Can they get water, light, if the governor is using it as a pressure point in which he can control the local government or the chairman in his area? These are the questions that I want Nigerians to get involved. And again, I say it, every Nigerian needs to know the Constitution, because when you know the Constitution, you will begin to know the questions to ask the legislators, the elected officials. There's a lot of every Nigerian needs to be involved in this process, and we even need to be teaching our kids. I say it again, from 4 years old, about the Constitution in schools. Every school must have this, because when they have this, they will have a mindset already before they even get out into the business world to be questioning everything. When you have a situation where people are taught about just the Bible and the Quran, where you don't ask questions, the mindset is just believing what is being told. That closes your mind. When you have the Constitution where there are laws written, and those laws, you can actually question those in a government, that opens your mind. That's what we need. That's where it starts. So to make this change, there's a whole lot of things that we need to deal with. But I agree with Femi on this much. We need to, the diaspora, people in diaspora, my party AAC and others, we need to get together and begin to put pressure on our legislature. And people like yourself, I hope you will join us in putting pressure within APC.
You've already joined.
River State.
Please kindly look at
piggybacking on APC.
Mr. Akife, I want you to look at the autonomy of the local government, the impact of that autonomy if it's being given. Or do you think that maybe the way it is now, whereby most of the directive is being coming from the state governors, or if they've been given the autonomy, is it possible for the local government to get out of control as well?
It's actually illegal for governors to handle local government funds.
Yes. Sure.
We have our constitution is crystal clear on this, 3 tiers of government: federal, state, local government. Now, under the federal allocation arrangement, governors are getting local government funds. Why? I don't know. Why has the National Association of Local Government Officials not taken these governors to court? Because local government chairmen should get their funding directly from the federal government. You understand? They should, there are certain things in Nigeria that are the sole prerogative of local government. First among them is refuse collection. Yes. That is solely down to government. Solely down to local government. Within the states, there are certain roads, the small, narrow bush path to your farm. That is the job of local government. The state governors are collecting money for this, and they are not delivering. So what the hell is going on? We have 774 local governments in Nigeria.
Primary schools, local government.
Yeah, primary schools is another issue that a lot of local...
It's under local government as well.
Local government. There's so many other areas. I mean, you take sports, for instance. If you want to track a very good swimmer or athlete or high jumper in some rural village in Kefi or Gombe or Bayelsa, it's not the state governor in the capital or the sports commissioner in the capital who's going to locate him. It's your local government. They will discover this. But how can the local government, I mean, how many local governments have sports budgets to start with? You know,
how many have budgets to start with?
I know of a situation whereby some local governments don't actually have secretariats, and the governor just...
In some states?
Yeah, in some states, the governor does not release funds to them, and so they don't have any money to function. And this is something we just have to address. These next 4 years, what we have to do here, as Ayos rightly said, we need to come together to put pressure on the government. We should be telling them, over the next 4 years, local government has got to work. It's the only thing that can deliver a lot of the things we're talking about. I mean, I'm sure a lot of you here are into know about the agriculture situation in Nigeria. If you're growing tomatoes on your farm, and you want to get your produce to market, the road that will do it belongs to the local government. Do you know that something like 30% of Nigeria's farm produce gets destroyed because of bad roads?
Absolutely.
You know, the road to my grandfather's village, once the trailer enters that gallop, half of the tomatoes are ruined. So if you don't have local government functioning, you can't address problems like that.
Yes. Can I just buttress just to quickly buttress his point and what Susie said is that the funding at the moment comes from the federal government. So the federal government cannot dictate onto a state how it spends its money. But I blame partly the federal government because they should have a situation where they give the money direct to local government. Yeah. Don't give it through the state. So whatever mechanism that they're doing, they need to change that and say, state government, here's your money, local government, here's your money, and don't go through the state governments. And then the state governments are doing things, tenement rates is actually the preserve of the local governments. But states like Lagos have co-opted them and said, we're going to collect it on your behalf. This is a nonsense. But you see, because a lot of these local councillors and chairmen have all been sweetened up, whichever the party is, so they're not going to go to court and say, we want our money direct. And if they're not challenging, and if civil society, I call the people called SAN, I'm sorry to say it, I call them servants against Nigeria. Because it's their remit to take on these causes. And instead of going to Atiku and all these people and sitting down with Onoge, they should be focusing on local government and saying, look, this got a good fight, let's support this Shomolu local government and let's get their money direct from federal government. TSA, straight to their account. But then the problem then is that when the money goes straight to them, that's another area for corruption because it goes into another black hole. And unless we have strong regulations and systems in place to monitor the spending, because I don't understand. I think there was an investigation into Imo State where 1 billion naira was taken out in cash by Imo State of recent. As an allegation.
Yes, an allegation.
What on earth justification for 1 billion naira cash to come out of a state government? For what purpose?
For rigging.
The point is, what systems are in place that will allow that sort of scenario to happen? It's not the governor on his own that will do that. There'll be civil servants involved. There'll be bankers involved. They are all co-conspirators. They all need to be locked up. So if we don't have system in place to say it's not just the main man that's culpable, all the other people as well, they're all culpable. So the system is very rotten. And I think that was another reason why AP Buhari has come back again to fight this corruption, which is killing our...
Femi, can I just say something? Ola, can I say something to Femi?
Let quickly look at this.
I think the major problem and the major dilemma we have in Nigeria is this. Until we begin to look at things from another angle, most of the problems that we are discussing in this studio this evening will come to nothing if Nigerians don't wrestle power back and take control. Whether you are a governor, a member of the House of Representatives, the Senate, the State Assembly, your leader, either in the House of Assembly, House of Reps, the Senate, or your governor should be held accountable.
Absolutely.
Which means you have, just like it is being done in this country, you have the right to recall your governor and pass a vote of no confidence if these people are not doing what they promised in their manifesto. These are very, very crucial things that needs to be addressed.
But the Constitution doesn't lie.
No.
You see, no.
We need to stop saying every time.
We need to stop referring to the Constitution.
You can't do anything without legality.
I understand what you're saying, but the only way we can address these problems is if Nigerians take control of what rightfully belongs to them. And that is, when these people, when you need our votes, you come, you campaign, and what you are invariably saying to us is, listen, I want you to trust me for this particular position I'm applying for, whether being from the local councillor to the chairman, right to the office of the governor, or even the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The interest to serve your people should be solely on what you can give back.
I agree with you. I agree with you. I'm not
just-
against what you're saying.
Can I
I'm
say
agree with you.
something? Can I? You see, Nigeria's biggest problem is that we do not review, and there is no accountability. One thing I've always heard from Nigeria is when something goes wrong, nobody can challenge. The president is not allowed to challenge the House or Senate. The Court of Justice, the president has no power over this. INEC, the president has no power over that.
No, INEC is being appointed. The president appointed.
No, but when the INEC issue came up, people were saying the president's not allowed to question them. But you see, things in life have to be reviewed. Now, if you are not reviewing stuff, how do you know that you are progressing?
Yes.
If you are not, if nobody is accountable, so if you've got governors, under the governors, you've got the local,
You've got the legislature.
So, no, wait. But you know what? We always come up with these excuses of the legislation doesn't allow this, it doesn't allow that, so it needs to be changed. At the end of the day, like you just said, when someone comes in, they should come in because of their manifesto. That manifesto, if we are reviewing that manifesto every 6 months, every year, the president has people working under him, he's got his governors working under him, you've got the House of Senate. Everybody has someone under them, and so everybody should be producing something. Sure. And that is what is happening in Nigeria, is that nothing is being produced, but nobody's questioning why these things are not being produced.
Well, unfortunately, if I may interject now, the main issue right here is when a populace, an entire citizenship of Nigeria, are programmed, in effect, to just be subservient in their thinking to those they elect into office, they will never ask any questions.
No, but what I'm saying, what I am saying here now is that if we have a responsible government.
But look,
wait, hold on. If we have a responsible, so now, Femi, APC, if we have a responsible Buhari, he won't be just sitting there fighting corruption, because running the country is not just about fighting corruption.
Sure,
there's a whole load of other things. When you ask for his achievements over the last 4 years, the first thing people say is corruption, even though we can't even.
We talk about social intervention programs.
Hold on. At the end of the day, you'd be surprised that a country like Nigeria needs a bit of project management for things to be broken down, for things to be reviewed. So those roads, okay, you're the governor of this state, you have these local governments under you. How many roads have been done? How far? It has to be broken down small. But all we ever get is excuses.
We operate a federal system. Sorry if I can just interject.
Okay, no, let's Ayo Akife comments. Ayo, you see, in Nigeria there is a lot of allegations. There are many quarters whereby many systems, there will be one issue or the other. What are the things you believe that? Because when you look at the system of governance in Nigeria, we have the we have the executive, we have the legislators, we have the judiciary, then we have even the fourth estate of the realm, the media. But still, yet things, many people will say things are not working. You will hear some commendation from some quarters, then before you know it again, unlike 2 days ago, was not 3 days ago, I heard one news that said that Nigeria is the largest, producer of rice. Is it
in Africa?
No. In Africa.
At the moment.
So overtaking Egypt.
So we're taking the Egypt. Republic of Egypt. Yeah. So what are most of these allegations? Are they real?
Look, the big problem we've got now is that we elect governments not based on any policies.
Thank you.
Right. We've just had elections. If you ask the APC and the PDP what is their housing policy, neither of them can tell you.
No.
What is their health policy?
Exactly.
Neither of them can tell you. What is their education policy? I don't know. I don't know if anybody here knows. I don't know if anybody here knows.
It's not practiced.
What is the class sizes? What are the class sizes either of these parties want to bring about in our primary and secondary schools? These are things that should be in policies. So when those are not there, what is going to happen is in 4 years' time, we will still be where we are now. Then we'll start complaining, no, this isn't working, that isn't working. But we haven't actually put together a roadmap. Now, you look at most of the countries in the same bracket as us, like Mexico, Indonesia, Turkey, Philippines, Vietnam. They all have industrial plans, industrial development plans, over 5-10 year plans. When is the last time we had an industrial development plan in Nigeria? We don't.
We've got economic recovery and growth plan.
No. I'm not talking about sound bites.
It's actually working.
I'm talking of proper working documents
that
have been costed. You understand? And we've talked about how we're going to raise the funding, how much we're going to get through grants from the World Bank or the IMF or the African Development Bank, how much we're going to get through selling of bonds, how much the central government is going to fund, and then give us a time frame. I mean, we're celebrating, in 2019, we are still celebrating standard gauge from Lagos to Abeokuta to your law. Now, China has something like 150,000 kilometers of high-speed railway track.
Yeah.
They're now using what we call the bullet train, the maglev. South Africa is in on it. Algeria's got high-speed rail. Morocco's got high-speed rail. We don't have a master plan. So we're just stumbling from pillar to post, and in 4 years' time we'll be here again. Okay, they've done this, they've done that. But as I agree with Susie here, corruption is just one of so many things. I mean, in terms of the priorities of government, I wouldn't list it higher than, say, number 10. So our biggest priority has got to be diversifying our economy and increasing our resource base. And until we do that, all these other things are not going to fall in place. And just lastly, we'll be speaking about this.
Let me take this call, please. Hello, you are through to Heritage Television.
Hello.
Hello, you are through to television. Where are you calling from? Your name, please.
I'm Samuel, calling from Italy.
Italy, you are welcome. Okay, you're on here now. Can we hear you, please?
Yeah. Okay, I can hear you now.
Thank you, Samuel.
I want to make contributions to your discussions. I'll be following everyone.
Okay.
You'll be deliberating fine. Only that the problem of Nigeria, as we've been saying it for years, we don't really understand what kind of system we are practicing in Nigeria. Because everybody shifts the blame. In the local government, they shift the blame to the federal government or to the president. In the local government, where people, they don't even understand that they have access to have the chairman local government, the councillors, that they are responsible for any mismanagement or abuse of office. It is not the people's problem, because the system which we were practicing in Nigeria is a unitary system of government that has been coming from the military system. The people don't really understand. Maybe they have the right to ask for their right. That is why you see all these vote buyings and sellings everywhere. The first thing I think we should do in Nigeria is to have a school of formation. That is the parties. They need to engage people in politics. They need to engage students, the market women, in a language they understand. They need to go to the rural areas, not this buying and selling system of election. When election is coming, you see parties making a strong oppositions. 6 months to the election, they will be defective from one party to another. Not this kind of system. We really want to evolve in democracy in Africa, in Nigeria, because we are not practicing democracy. What we are practicing now is oligarchy system of government. Oligarchy system of government where some people will select. They will say, Baba Sofe, they have decided, and they will now be doing the primary election after they have selected somebody. These are the kind of a system we've been practicing in Nigeria. We need to have a school of formation in politics that will teach people. We need politicians, the parties, involved to engage people.
Samuel, thank you very much indeed. Mr. Banley, can you react to what
Yes.
I was just going to...
Yes, Samuel, I think you have spoken very well. And most of the issues that you've highlighted now, they are crucial if we are to start experiencing progress in our country. Unfortunately, that is not the trend in which we are actually following now. I can actually tell you now that since independence, going back and looking at the situation of things, going back 30 years, Nigeria has actually been regressing. We haven't actually experienced much progress in terms of most of the things that my brother Ayo spoke very well and eloquently about all these problems. And until we begin to and look at these issues robustly, come the next 4 years, we'll still be going to be in the same position. So I agree with what with the issues is highlighted, and I think that any government coming into power now, in May, I think they should engage more with the people and begin to look at how we can engage people in such a way that most of these things that are, in a way, affecting the lives of an average Nigerian, we will begin to look at these things from an holistic point of view and now say, look, a lot of Nigerians are actually suffering, and what are we doing to correct these problems? And that will be the first step moving forward.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bane. Can we, Susie, the issue of blaming within all this, between federal government, state government, and local government, whom do you think we should actually put the game blame? Because it's like allegation upon counter allegation, and things are not done appropriately.
You see, one of the questions I need to ask is, why do we have a president when we can't even blame him for anything? It seems like everything you bring up, he's not in charge, he's not in charge. So what's the use of that? What is the role of the president? What is he responsible for? You understand? You know, at the end of the day, he can't control the House or Senate. The House and Senate have no control, so are they the ones ruling the country? That one can't be controlled because the president has no control over that one. So who's ruling who is actually ruling the country?
INEC is supposed to be independent.
Right. Okay.
That's what the
INEC is meant to be independent. Okay, they're meant to be independent, but they showed that they're what's the word again? Incompetent. They've showed us very clearly that they are. And so, if they are independent, who is in charge of them? Because even if you're independent, somebody. So what is your chairman, when your chairman does something wrong, who pulls him to order?
You need to follow the
Constitution. Who makes him accountable? And also, it's sad, and the reason why it is really sad is, according to rumor, and I would say according to rumor, our politicians are among the highest paid politicians in the world, but they are the least performing. They are among the least performing politicians in the world. So, legislators in the world. So hold on a sec. We are paying them a whole heap of money to basically do nothing and not perform. So at the end of the day, until there is going to be less of the blame game, we don't want to hear APC when people are asking them questions. We don't want to hear them talking about PDP in 16 years because they've had 4 years. What? No, hold on, Femi. We don't want to hear them blaming PDP anymore because they've had. No, we don't. Nigeria. No. Nigeria does not want to hear blaming PDP anymore because they've had 4 years
I'm sure they won't
to
be doing
kind
that
of.
anymore.
Well, let's hope. Wait, hold on. Let's hope so because they have been paid a lot of money to do their job, and after 4 years, there's not much to show. So. You know, and the people, power needs to be moved to the people because Nigerians, to me, are so downtrodden. They don't even know that they have the right to complain. They don't realize that when you elect a president, you are employing him and he is answerable to you. But it's the other way round. We are like answerable to them. Because when something goes wrong and they give an excuse, Nigerians are like, oh, okay then. And that's where it's left. So at the end of the day, something needs to be done for them to take more responsibility for their role, more accountability, and they need not to be allowed to blame everybody else apart from themselves.
Fabi, do you have anything to say on this?
Look, the fact, you see, we have to look at this thing in a holistic way. Now, the system is the system. We are burdened with what's on the ground. It's not, you can't just say these things in isolation. We have a constitution, we have a federal constitution, and there's division of power.
So who changes it
Excuse me, there's division of power and there's separation of power, rule of law, etc., etc. So you can as well blame the president for everything, as always the case. Whenever there's a problem in a country, they're going to look at the figurehead, the main man, and that's why he's going to be blamed. But that doesn't mean that he's responsible for everything. And then where the executive are going wrong, and this is what I'm trying to say to you, and what we need to do in our country. Democracy, which you say should go to the people, is through their representatives. not direct. You can't go and challenge the president, although you might well do, but it'll take a long time.
I wouldn't want to.
You have a representative, which is your senator, your House of Rep. If you're in a state and your state governor, like Ayo,
it comes from that, but it's not happening. That's what we're saying, regardless of what you say.
Like Ade was saying, that your state governor is not performing. The system allows for you to go to your representative in the House of Assembly, the State House of Assembly, to make your demonstrations. He's not performing the manifesto that he says he's going to do. You go through your...
How does it allow it?
It allows it because they can question him.
How can they question him?
By calling him to order. They can ask him
How can they call him?
They can call him to order.
There was a number for the governor once.
In the final analysis, what the system allows is for them to impeach him. He can be impeached.
It doesn't happen.
It does happen. It's happened before. But what happens is that the problem, as I keep telling you, is our do-or-die demigod politicians. Because what do? All those legislators are in their pocket.
Wait, who are you calling the legislators?
The people in the legislature, whether it's the House of Assembly at the state level, whether it's the federal level.
But APC is in that pocket as well.
This is not, you see,
no, they're part of it. I'm asking you.
You delight in making this an APC
No, Femi, I just asked, are they part of it?
I want to answer your question.
I'm just trying to work out what you're saying.
I'm trying to tell you, but you're not
No, I get offended if you say I delight in anything. I don't. I asked you a question.
I'm going to explain to you why. Because the legislators are both APC and PDP.
That's all I was asking you.
So it's not a question.
So
yeah, that's what I was just checking.
So if I'm in Abia State and my governor's not performing, my legislators are all PDP. So if they're not performing, why are they not questioning the governor?
But how do they question them?
That's what I'm saying to you. What they have to do is they need to impeach the governor. But because they are in the pocket of the governors, because he's already given them a cushy number, they've got special favors and God knows what, parcels of land in this way or this contract or whatever. So they're not going to question. So whenever the governor says, okay, I need money for this, it's like an automatic stamp.
That's why
they don't question. So what we need to do is we need to question our legislators more, so that if they're not questioning our governors, then we can do the recall to them. You see, we can maybe not get straight to our governor, but we can now say, okay, you're my legislator, and in our area, we're not happy with what you're doing. We're going to recall you.
Femi, can I just chip in one thing?
Yeah.
This is very, very important. You see, immediately after the presidential elections, I was speaking to a very close friend, and he said, thank God now, Buhari will be able to push through most of his policies now.
Hopefully.
Because in the Senate, they have more APC senators than any other party. So which means the problems that emanated 4 years ago, you wouldn't have to go through the rigors of that. That doesn't make sense. Now, my problem with that is when you have that kind of mentality, you're not operating in a fair system.
Why is it not fair?
Why? Because if you're giving people the impression that, okay, in the Senate you have a large number of senators who would conform to what the president wants, then you're not giving the people
a fair chance.
You're not giving them a fair chance.
Let me correct that impression.
No,
you see, virtually all over the world, most of the parties always ensure that they have majority, and that enables them to implement their policies.
But sometimes it is not a fair way. It's not a fair way of getting things done the way it should be done.
But you can't do anything because they're elected.
We've had 4 years of this, of trying it your way, which is having not the majority being controlled by the APC, where it was practically, nearly 50-50. And we've had basically comatose situation. They've not performed. So if you're a government, do you know that the president has sent anti-corruption laws to the House, to the Senate, and is just sitting there, just doing nothing? So that's because the Senate is filled with people that are not pro the president. So he's put in a bill saying, hey, we want a confiscation order and all these kind of things to curtail corruption. And those people know that's going to affect them, they just park it to one side. So, but now, if they
and you honestly think, for me, that is a PDP problem.
I didn't mention any party here.
I didn't mention
any party here.
Let's try as much as we can.
What I'm suggesting to you is that if he had sufficient number of people in there on his side, he could push that agenda through.
Femi, excuse me, Mr. Akife. I want you to look at this issue because, for instance, we are going to have the 9th Assembly now. that we are going that are going to be inaugurated in May. So, what do you think is going to be the solution to most of this problem? Okay, look at the legislative. For instance, now it has been widely speculated, perhaps strong belief over there that our legislators are the highest paid all over the world.
One of the.
He said it.
One of the.
Look at the issue of that house, and they are the one basically fixing that salary and the allowances, isn't it? So what do you think could be solution to this, to ensure that this is not going to be repeated?
Well, you see, in all fairness to the National Assembly, I don't really think that is where our problems lie. Because if you look at our statute book, we've actually got a lot of very good laws, a lot of good, bills have been passed. And funny enough, the 8th Senate actually passed more bills than any other Senate in the history of Nigeria. I think where our core problem is that we are not executing and implementing problems. Now, we've spoken about federal allocation and money being paid to government. Nigeria's single biggest problem for me is that we're not productive enough. Why are we not productive enough? We're wholly dependent on crude oil. You understand? 90% of government revenue comes from crude oil. Our state governors are not functioning. Outside Lagos State, no government, no state in Nigeria can function without oil revenue. That for me is the core of the matter. If you could get our state functioning and at least meeting their own running costs, right? And it would stop all this. If you could stop, that would like to stop this federal allocation, and it would allow the economy to grow. To be perfectly honest, if I was elected Nigeria's president today, the first thing I would do tomorrow is stop the federal allocation. I would just stop paying the states and say, you know what, you governors, you're goddamn lazy. Get out and generate your own revenue.
You'll be in court though.
They drag me to court, but it would take about a year for the case to be resolved. Within that 1 year, they'd be forced to start generating their own revenue.
Like what happened to Lagos State?
Well,
but every state is not like Lagos State, though.
Yeah.
So I think in this, if you have to be fair, there are some states that will still heavily have to rely on
no
the
state
federal government.
No state in Nigeria is barren desert. No,
it's not.
The
north, no, you do in the north.
Especially the north.
That is a fallacy. Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Do you know that Zamfara State gets more sunlight than any other state in Nigeria? Now, Zamfara should be the solar capital of Nigeria. It should be one big, huge solar farm. It should be manufacturing solar panels. That in itself could generate enough revenue from it. Kano, we all know about the old Kano pyramids. Now, across the axis, Kano, Jigawa, Katsina, where are the granite pyramids today? So, I can go on and on. Taraba and Adamawa on that Cameroon border, they've got more wildlife than any other part of Nigeria.
Absolutely.
There's everything you could think of there. Gorillas, giraffes, elephants. Where are the wildlife parks? So, I can go on. If you go through every one of Nigeria's 36 states, there's areas where they could generate their revenue, but they're just not interested. So for me, that is the first thing the president...
Can I ask you something, Ayo? If they're not interested, then what is that about? If they're not interested?
It's laziness on the
They're
behalf of the
intellectually
government.
lazy.
And they get paid.
Then what is the solution to it?
To be honest, as a people, if we are putting pressure on them, one thing that disheartened me the most about this last election was that on not one instance was any candidate told, where's your manifesto? Nobody was asked. You come to hand out the gari and the rice and the yam and the clap for you.
Don't we need to blame the media then? They're not doing their job.
If I
blame game again.
I'd like to comment. I think...
I hope it's not on Constitution.
No. well, actually, funny you should say that. I will read one section.
No.
But you see, I would just say it's the duty of the government to ensure that the people actively participate in their own governance. Section 14 to I think 2D, I think it is. But anyway, now the reason I'm stating that is this. I think after 58 years of failed governance, successive failed governance, where the needs of the people have not been met. They've not been met. The time has come that we, the people, we need to be doing this work in the grassroots. And I am proposing something. I know I'm asking for people to join me in this. We need to be teaching Nigerians about the Constitution at local level,
all Nigerians in our local languages, so they can begin to ask questions. Because half of the times, they say to them, oh, they're going to be doing this, the government is coming to do this in your area. And people say, oh, great.
That's it.
But because they haven't been taught about how to ask questions about, okay, you're going to do it. When are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? Who is doing it? How much is going to be? What amount are you doing? Are using to do this? They've not been taught and trained to do that because they've been denied that knowledge. And I think that is where we need to start. I hope people can join me in raising the awareness in our people to know this constitution in 774 local government areas. We have to start in the grassroots. We got to from the ground up. We're trying to do it from the top. It's not worked. It failed. We need to begin at the bottom. And also, I'll quickly say something about the issue of the structure of our governance. The very fact that we have a compromised judiciary is a big problem. So if you want to fight corruption, if you don't have that institution clearly cleansed and tight, we have a problem. Then the other issue is the legislature. The legislature, they know that any law that's going to be passed against them, they are actively doing everything amongst themselves to kick it out. So we need to weed them out. So
let's take this call, please.
We
lost. No. He cut off from us. So, Femi, before we lost that call, I have a discussion. I mean, this question that I intended to ask you. Looking at all these issues, from state, House of Assembly to the National Assembly, even from the local government level, series of allegation upon allegation, it has become persistent. Don't we think that, okay, because I look at this from this angle that any student of politics, we know that the junk of the job is in the House of Assembly. And you can be able to see that some governors from state to the National Assembly, even from National Assembly as well, to the state again. Now, some people could argue that, okay, there are some certain states now with this present election that people change things. For instance, Ogun State, Kwara State. But I want you to look at it, the structure.
Yeah, but I'm also still going to the Senate. He won his seat, so as a governor, he's going to the Senate, isn't he? The thing is, the problem with that...
It's been suspended, though.
From the party, but not from
that will not stop him from going to Senate.
So who's he representing if he's been suspended?
When he gets there,
he's going.
That will
he's going to Senate. Is that within party?
But no, he's been suspended.
From the party.
From the party.
So which means,
it should have been said.
It won't affect him.
That's
nothing to do with the Senate.
That's nothing to do with the mandate.
But
aren't you
meant to be part of a party?
No, that is the party.
To sat there.
Can't you see a lot of people who are the series of anti-party activities?
But that's Nigeria's biggest problem. That is one of Nigeria's biggest problems because at the end of the day, if you're on suspension, then
but not from the Senate.
It's within the party.
But that's what I've just asked you now. If I'm in the Senate, hold on. If I'm in the Senate, I'm there because I'm representing a party.
No.
So everybody there is
what she's saying is absolutely correct in another way. The Constitution does say that if you're there, also represent a party because it's on the party that you became that representative.
That's what I'm thinking.
But what's happened is that because our legislators, I keep calling them that, they are in it for themselves and they know what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
So what they do,
it will happen to them
instead
as well,
of pushing that guy out, as it should be, and say go to have a rerun, you know, what they call it, they have there's a specific term for it, a by-election. They should go for a by-election and prove that he's still, the people do want him. They will just keep it on the wraps.
Exactly.
And they say he's decamped. Decamped to this party, decamped to that party, and all that nonsense. That needs to. So what I'm saying is,
somebody said they just
I know that I know that you said that we got all these laws in place, but I'm saying that the laws are fundamentally flawed, and there needs to be a lot of. I'm not the other hand. There's a lot of these laws still need to be changed. Now, moving the matter forward, there's so many crises at all these levels, but I think what needs to happen is that governance does need to go back to the people, as all of us are saying. And it needs to go to the grassroots. And how can we do that?
That's my question.
I think that the governance, whether you're PDP, whether you're APC, whether you're state government or the federal government, what the people of Nigeria want now is they want inclusive engagement. They're interested in bread and butter. They want to put food on the table.
Electricity.
They want affordable food, you understand, and infrastructure. So we ought to have community community projects through the local governments. So that's the way forward. So, I mean, I can't imagine a situation where a state has to come and sign off a borehole. A governor will say, "Oh, we did a borehole."
Yeah, exactly.
You understand? I built a road of 1 kilometer.
We're celebrating it.
It's just
in 4 years.
It's called mediocrity. Yeah, and I think any governor as a governor, if I was a governor, and you say you're calling me to open up that road,
I'll tell you off,
come on, I've got other better things to do. Let the local government chairman do that. Let the combination of whatever do that.
That is not meant to be one of my achievements.
Other things that I've got. I'm looking at the big. I'm looking at the big picture, like what the other IS said, that we need governance that looks at the global picture. You know, you said we don't have our 5-year development plans. Every state needs to have those, and those things need to be made public. Like what you're saying, the constitution needs to be public. People need to know, what is your plan for the 4 years,
and how do you plan to implement it.
And like you said, so I want to know what you're going to do in the 4 years. Each year, I want to know so we can tick it off. So by the end, I mean, like some people say to me, "Why am I always against my governor of Ogun State and so on like that?" I said, I don't have anything personal against him, but if you say to me that I'm going to build a new airport in Wasimi, and that by February 2019 is going to be completed,
I want it there.
I expect to be seeing on a periodic basis that I can go on TV and see on a video saying, "Oh, this is how far we've done. We've cleared the ground. We're doing the foundation. We're laying the runway." But what you happen in Ogun State is you have zero. No commentary.
And no one's asking.
No, we're asking. I'm asking the Ministry of Information, what's happening, Silence. Because it means that nothing's going. I had to get a private person through my wings to go down there and say, look get on the Okada, all this kind of stuff, and went down there and found that there was nothing going on there. So this is the mediocrity.
And money was set aside for it.
This is what we're talking about.
And
what I'm saying is that if you come out and say, I'm going to do this, then you must perform. It's just like our previous governor, on another time, I'm not going to say his party because you think I'm just hitting him because it's with that party, but he said he was going to do a Lokola free trade zone. He was going to have a Lokola deep sea port. God knows how much money was apportioned for feasibility report, this and that. They said it's happening. Is that so? What you do is when you go online, you get those funky imageries, that computer-made images. But when you now try to find, so I went to Niger and said, look, I want to go to Olokola. I couldn't get there. There's no road to the place. They said you have to go on a canoe, this and that. At that time was dry season, so that
the
part
canoe
of the
was
area,
down.
there was
The
no
canoe
way to
would
get
get
through.
stuck
So at the end of the day, there was nothing there, but billions or however many has been devoted to this. So if you look in Nigeria as a whole,
accountability, Femi, accountability.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that there are billions devoted here and there, everywhere. So that's why we need to break it down to the state, the local governments. So they're doing small projects. So then you can say, I live in the village, I know the local government chairman, I know the councillor, this and that. You're going to do a borehole. You've been given 100,000 naira to do a borehole. We can see it delivered. You know, all these small projects.
Another problem we have again when it comes to engaging with the people. You see, don't let it just be a situation when elections are coming. You want to be visible to people,
and all of a sudden you finish the railway because elections are coming.
Because what actually happens?
Come on, that's not the case.
This is a major problem. You see, when they are aspiring for public office and become governors, senators, or whatever, then disengage themselves from the public who elected them in the first instance. Then getting to see these people. I mean, I can walk into my MP's office to say I need to book an appointment to see my MP here, and he or she will be more than willing to see me. But you look at Nigeria from a different perspective, and can that be said about these people? But you know, it is always a problem, because if you want to see your local House of Reps member or your senator, come on.
The way we even look at you.
I like what you're saying.
Yeah, and the rigors of what you have to go through to even get an appointment. It is absolutely despicable.
That's even if he's supposed to be there and do his surgery, but maybe he's not even attending. Who knows if
maybe he's not even in the country.
I don't think they are the one to blame when it comes to this. This has to do with people themselves.
No.
Why are we blaming the people?
Listen.
I'm in a classroom with a teacher. it goes wrong. Are you going to blame the students or the teacher?
Look,
you have to blame the head. Who is responsible? Who is accountable? The people are not accountable. They have already elected you to do that job. Because they have elected you, you are now accountable.
Let me just touch on that again. Like, this is why I keep telling you that it's the system that's a problem. Now, you go to your Senate now, and you want to find out, how did my senator vote? I want diaspora voting. I want to know whether my senator voted in favor of that or not. You can't even get that information.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller. You are through to Heritage Studio. Hello.
Yeah, I called before.
Okay, is it the same Samuel?
Yeah.
Okay. You are through. You're on the line, please.
Yeah, okay. Now, somebody was saying there that we need to pass the bill. I wanted to remind the person that in 1999, Obasanjo, the first bill he passed was anti-graft bill. That is anti-corruption bill. So what happened to that? So if we are talking of the Nigerian constitution and every other things, the implementation is the problem. That is why I said that we need to engage people to know that they have the right to ask for the accountability from every positions, anybody that is in power in Nigeria. The problem is that they disengage people when they finish election. When it is a year, 6 months to election, they come back again and they're engaging people buying them. That was why I said we need a school of formation to change the attitude of our people towards the way of living. You can imagine in every local government in Nigeria, they don't have industrialization center. People don't know that they need to have it. They don't have a recreational center for people that is living. Let me use as an example in Shomolu local government. There is never a recreational center for families to go on Saturdays or on Sunday after church to enjoy their lives. People don't know all these things. And many of us, we stay in abroad, we enjoy all these things, and we can't come home and tell our people. We need to come together. If we really want to do something in Africa or in Nigeria, most of us that live abroad have this idea that schools in abroad have this a good plan for Nigeria. We need to come together. We need to come together, spend our time and money, so that people will know that what we are enjoying abroad, it is being done by people. It is not a rocket science. It is doable also in Africa. Because people back home, I can't blame them again. Like I used to tell people, if you look since 1985 to this period we are, most of the children giving back to, they gave back to them in corruption. And you can't expect a child that is being brought up in corruption to give you a positive response. That is why you see most of Nigerian youth, they are into drugs, courtesan, all sorts of things.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Okay, because if we have to stop, we talk from here to tomorrow. I'm enjoying you guys, but we need to just nail it. We need to nail it. Because somebody said we shouldn't blame the federal government. I know. Because most of the things, people don't even know that they have rights to ask their councillor the money that was given to the roads. How do they spend it?
Yeah. Samuel, thank you very much. All your point is being noted. Viewers, we would like to go on commercial break now. So when we come back, we will critically look at the issue again, then we take it from there, from commercial section.
Heritage Television. Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.
my daughter-in-law. So how are you planning for my son's birthday? I have to cook up for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No. It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chijioke. Hi, Sorwete Market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law. It's arranged. But you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Ese Odo, my daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo per second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second. Dial *211# to activate.
That's it, boo-boo.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Tolu A. Akinyemi, a renowned poet, author, and performer, brings to us Dead Cats Don't Meow, a metrical masterpiece which invokes love and respect for life. Dead Cats Don't Meow is his first published work and third collection in his poetry for the Discerning series, after Dead Lions Don't Roar and Dead Dogs Don't Bark. Tolu shares his gift of writing with people far and wide. Recently, he received an endorsement as a writer with exceptional talent from the Arts Council England. Each poem examines a part of life, a sensation, a reaction, or an emotion. Individually, the verses breathe their own beat, while the collection knits together perfectly to present an idyllic anthology. Dead Cats Don't Meow is written to help you find your own voice in a world with a cacophony of voices. Join Tolu A. Akinyemi at one of the 4 events to celebrate the launch of Dead Cats Don't Meow. Thursday, April 4, 2019, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Poetry Cafe, the Poetry Society, 22 Betterton Street, Covent Garden, London. Saturday, April 13th, 2019, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Museum Center, Function Room, 8 and 9 Marina Road, Onikan, Lagos, Nigeria. Thursday, May 2, 2019, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The Leeds and Phil, 23 Westgate Road, Newcastle upon Tyne. Thursday, May 9, 2019, 5:45 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. The Avenue Library and Learning Center, 9 Victoria Avenue East, Blackley, Manchester. RSVP, tolutoludo.com. Dead Cats Don't Meow is available at Waterstones, Barnes & Noble, eBay, Amazon, Patabar, and other outlets.
Heritage Television. Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.
My daughter-in-law, so how are you planning for my son's birthday? I have to cook up for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No? It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chiji, okay. Hi, sir, wait a market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law, it's arranged, but you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Ese Odo. My daughter-in-law, everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo a second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second. Dial *211# to activate.
That's it, boo-boo.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
Tolu A. Akinyemi, a renowned poet, author, and performer, brings to us Dead Cats Don't Meow, a metrical masterpiece which invokes love and respect for life. Dead Cats Don't Meow is his first published work and third collection in his poetry for the Discerning series, after Dead Lions Don't Roar and Dead Dogs Don't Bark. Tolu shares his gift of writing with people far and wide. Recently, he received an endorsement as a writer with exceptional talent from the Arts Council, England. Each poem examines a part of life, a sensation, a reaction, or an emotion. Individually, the verses breathe their own beat, while the collection knits together perfectly to present an idyllic anthology. Dead Cats Don't Meow is written to help you find your own voice in a world with a cacophony of voices. Join Tolu A. Akinyemi at one of the 4 events to celebrate the launch of Dead Cats Don't Meow. Thursday, April 4, 2019, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Poetry Cafe, the Poetry Society, 22 Betterton Street, Covent Garden, London. Saturday, April 13th, 2019, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Museum Center, Function Room, 8 and 9 Marina Road, Onikan, Lagos, Nigeria. Thursday, May 2, 2019, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The Leeds and Phil, 23 Westgate Road, Newcastle upon Tyne. Thursday, May 9, 2019, 5:45 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. The Avenue Library and Learning Center, 9 Victoria Avenue East, Blackley, Manchester. RSVP, tolutoludo.com. Dead Cats Don't Meow is available at Waterstones, Barnes & Noble, eBay, Amazon, Patabar, and other outlets.
1 minute, please.
Have another biscuit, please.
You want some more?
One more.
Down here.
Over there.
Welcome back. Femi, before we go on break,
Are we
please,
back?
can you? Yeah, we're back. Please, can you help us quickly look at
Yeah, I'm checking.
any latest information? Thank you.
Oh. While you're looking, can I say something, please, Anna?
Yeah, Susie.
Right. Now, what gets to me about Nigeria is this, this blame game thing and the fact that whenever you talk, nobody is responsible. Or they say, the president wasn't the one that done it, so why are you calling his name? Now, let me give you an example. I don't know if all of you are familiar with Victoria Columba, the Victoria Columba case.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
The director...
Kwame.
Huh?
Kwame. Victoria Kwame.
Victoria, yeah. The director of social services was sacked because of what happened, right?
Okay.
So the director had nothing to do with that case.
Yeah. Because
the director had nothing to do with that case. No, she was the director. She was the top one, who most probably has never even heard of the girl before. But the fact of the matter is that if you are managing all those below you in the right way, and they are managing those below you, then things are working. Yeah. It's no different from a football team. When they lose a few times, they get rid of the manager. They don't get rid of the players that miss the goal. They don't get rid of the players who miss the penalty. They get rid of the manager because the manager has not done his job of overseeing things properly. And once people know that they are responsible for every little thing, they will look for a way to cover it and ensure that it's working fine. Does that make sense?
Yes, Ayo. In political landscape, is it how it works?
That's how it should work.
Thank you.
But we cannot divorce Nigerian politics from the problems of Nigeria at large. We live in a top to bottom, rank-a-didi, or at the top society.
Yeah.
Right? We love to hail people who are wealthy or who are our bosses. We don't hold them accountable. It's in every facet of everything we do. You just look at it. In any community, if there's one rich, affluent person, we don't ask where they got their money from. Once they have enough, we hail them.
That's it.
You know. There have been people who've stolen public funds, donated it to churches and mosques, they've happily received it. You know, so it's just, we could have a traditional monarch who is doing the most terrible things in his community, they will still be hailing him, So that's just who we are. We don't hold people responsible. So until we change that, it goes back to the point I was making here that as a people, we need to change our own orientation and our mentality. Yeah. When we start to do that, it will start to percolate. It will filter through,
yeah. Yeah.
Mr. Ogudimu, with that point, do you have anything to contribute to it?
I totally agree with what my six said here. Very much so. There is a lot of work. I think this election here, I hope Nigerians will take it as a watershed moment, because now we can no longer say that we are not aware of the impact of what the failed governance has reduced our people to. Everybody is feeling it. Nigerians are suffering in their millions in our cities, in our towns, in our villages, in our, all over. They're suffering. The one commonality that you will hear from Nigerians is that, we just need things to work so that we can be able to get on with our life. We want electricity. And the age of internet, where you have Facebook generation, people are able to see what is happening in other parts of the world. Particularly those of us who are in diaspora, they see the life we're living. Yeah. And they're thinking to themselves, there is no reason why I can't have that also in Nigeria. So this is the opportunity now. That's one side they're seeing. To get to the stage that we're in, we need to show them the steps they need to take to empower themselves in their areas, in their local areas, in their governments, and begin to ask those questions. Yeah. So I hope that's the beginning. It's a long step. It's a long journey, but we can do it.
Yeah. Mr. Obanlewo, Honorable Obanlewo, sorry for that. Please, looking at the last election of 2015, coming to this present one, 2019, Is there any difference?
There is much difference compared to the elections we had 4 years ago.
What are the difference?
But where do you want me to make the comparisons? Are we talking about the scope of the election itself?
Only don't bring PDP into it or APC.
No.
Look at the election.
I want to base my assessment in the.
Don't bring it to party performance. No. I want you to look at the election as a broad view.
From a general view. You see, 2015, I think there wasn't much awareness compared to what we experienced in 2019.
Really?
Yes, 2015, there was a lot of election malpractices, all sorts of things, limits, transpired back then.
It's limits than what happened in 2015.
But there is tremendous improvement compared to the elections that we had in 2019. You know, and going forward, I can only hope and pray that 2023 will be much better than 2019. But in retrospect, 2019 compared to 2015, 2015 was nothing to write home about.
The things. They want them to travel. Okay. So, in your opinion, which of the one are you recommending, or perhaps are you assessing?
See, because whichever way you look at it, most Nigerians are of this mentality: if elections are conducted and your party loses, you know. But that is how it's been the trend. Just like my sister said earlier, nobody wants to take responsibility. Nigerians believe elections, whichever way you look at it, it is only fair and it is only normal to expect that anyway. Irrespective of who wins, whether it's your party or the opposition party, whichever way you look at it, they are beginning to look at it in such a way that election rigging, manipulation of figures, it's part and parcel of elections in Nigeria.
The system.
The system has actually adopted that mentality, and unfortunately our people have embraced it into the society, and they're beginning to look at it as if maybe it's a normal trend. And we need to educate our people that this is not the way elections should be conducted. This is not the kind of mentality people should have. If we are to be taken seriously as a nation, Nigeria needs to rise above all these issues. It is imperative that we understand that in a democratic society, people need to understand that when they give you that mandate of office, no matter how small that position is, you need to use that position to full maximization. It doesn't matter whether you're a councillor, whether you're a local government chairman, or whether by appointment, or whether you're at the Senate or at the House of Reps. Every position in authority, either by elected position or appointment, you have to treat that position with so much respect, because you owe the electorate a duty of care to make sure that you perform to the best of your capabilities.
Thank you.
I agree with that entirely. And the electorate too, if I can just add one small thing to that. The electorate too, I'm not sure they're being punitive enough, because one of the features of mature democracies is protest voting. When somebody doesn't perform, you should protest vote against them to send out a clear signal. And I'll give you a clear signal. I go back to Zamfara State, where there's been so many killings there over the last few months. But the APC has still got in there. They've won both the presidential and governorship elections. I don't think that is right. The people that should have voted against them, even if it's for a Mickey Mouse party, just to make a point that we want to object to this.
But the people of that area, perhaps, maybe they know the problem
You see, that's what
not
I'm saying. The suggestion, you see, I think it's a bit rich of us to suggest that the people of Zamfara don't know what they're voting for. They made a decision which they feel is in their best interest. So if it happens to be that they support APC, they know why it is the majority, and we must, abide by their voice. Now, you say there's no...
Have you seen a state where people voted according to what on the ground voted?
Yeah, well, that's what we're saying. There are incidents of that, and we've seen that in Oyo State. The current governor is Oyo, is APC. and they voted against APC and put in PDP because they were not happy about Ajimobi and his arrogance and other things and the poor governance and so on, and they voted in for PDP again in Ogun State.
I don't think Nigerians vote. They vote. I think Nigerians vote with popularity and not manifestos. I mean, it's all about popularity. Yeah, but I think the people are not.
You see, on one level we say that they're not educated. On one level they say that there's enough education. So at the end of the day,
we know there's not
the will of the people. The will of the people has to be what it's all about. And even in the UK, not everybody that's making a decision understands why he's voting.
Femi, do you know I'm going to go against that?
It doesn't matter if you go against it.
No, I'm just gonna. Can I just say one thing to you? Listen. When I sat down and I heard Buhari say, "If I lose this election, I will go to court, just like I did for 12 years for every election I lost," and then Atiku loses and he goes to court. Now, to me, they're not going to court because they think they have been cheated. They've gone to court because they believe that that position belongs to them. Well, let me finish. That position is their birthright. Because at the end of the day, basically what Buhari was telling us is that if I don't win, that means the elections are rigged. What Atiku is telling us is, I have not won, so the elections are rigged. So they themselves, they themselves are showing us that they don't have no confidence in rightful elections. Because they're not giving the people their free will. They're giving the people what they believe should happen. You cannot sit down and tell me.
So I just
Mr. Obale, do you have anything to say with the issue that Susie has just raised?
You see, I mean, I think she's making a good point, but whichever way you look at it, a lot of people are going to receive it with mixed feelings. No doubt about that.
You know, like
Buhari lost elections three times consecutively.
And he went to court. Yes.
When he said it at this election. When the issue of Atiku came on board and he decided to exercise his constitutional right by going to court,
he got insulted by them.
I said something on Facebook, and most of APC members, they were antagonistic towards what I said. And I said, look, you know, I was designated a role to perform. And being a PDP man, that is our candidate, and that is the person our party decided would be our presidential candidate. So after the elections, if he now thinks that he has enough evidence to produce in court to say, obviously he's had that mandate stolen from him, he has a right to do that. Whether the court now agrees with him is a different ball entirely. So nobody has the right to castigate or criticize anybody for taking a decision which they believe, you know, it's in the best interest of Nigerians. So and that is where I agree with Femi, disagree with Femi. My sister here just buttressed some points that in the last 12 years before Buhari came into office, he lost 3 consecutive elections in which he went to court. So,
a week before this election, he said, no, the day of this election, the day of this election at the polling booth, he said that if he loses, he will go to court.
For some reason, I'm trying to lose track of what you're saying because it sounds very confusing. I mean, on one hand...
Okay, do you want us to make it clear for you?
I don't need that. I don't need... On the one hand, Obale has rightly said that it is within the purview of Mr. Atiku to go forth and challenge the results, which is his right. Which is his right. And I have never said that he should not challenge it. I'm happy for him to do so, and I think he's constitutional. Who am I to stop him from doing so?
You have no right.
And in a like manner, I don't see why it would be confusing if Mr. President lost the election likewise and done the same. So
Fabi, I'll tell you what is confusing.
And I didn't stop you. No. Look, it's one rule for one and then another rule for another. What? You can't say it's okay for Atiku to challenge and then for the President to say, if I lose, if I were to have lost, I would have challenged. Look, it's everyone's right to do so. And at the end of the day, I even recall he even said something even more stronger than that, which was that he doesn't believe he was going to lose. He didn't even say that he was going to go to...
He said it in the debate that he was going to...
He said he wasn't going to lose. He said he wasn't going to lose.
Excuse me. The debate that he had, they asked him, what will he do if he loses?
And he said he
let
wasn't
me
gonna
finish.
lose.
Can
He
I
said he
finish?
wasn't gonna
Can
lose.
I
I
finish,
watched that
Femi?
debate.
I
Femi,
heard,
please.
go back to that debate
Okay,
because
Susie.
I heard Buhari say, I will do what I did for 12 years. I will go to
so
court.
is
So
there
don't say he
something wrong
didn't
in that?
say it.
What I'm saying
Yes,
is
there is something wrong because you're telling us,
okay.
you are telling us that you have no faith in that election already. Because at the end of the day, it's no one's birthright. The people have a choice to make. And if the people choose that, if the people had chosen Atiku, why are you going to court? Why do you believe the people cannot choose Atiku or choose somebody else?
So
it doesn't make sense.
No, your party, you have a political party that you support. The left Femi, left. Yes, I don't want any one of you political parties ever to discuss. Please, what's your opinion on that? On this issue?
No. To be frank, I mean, it simply boils down to this fact, in that the politicians just see elections as a vehicle. Political parties, I mean, politics in Nigeria, if we want to be honest, is an entrepreneurial activity.
Yeah.
The political parties are a vehicle to get you there. Now, in a mature democracy, the loser congratulates the winner. Without any problem. On the day of the election. In Nigeria, we've seen cases where people have lost outright, and it's obvious they've lost, but they still go to court.
And tribunals as well.
Yeah, and tribunals. And we've seen cases that drag on for 2-3 years. People spend millions of
wasting money.
Some sell 2-3 houses. And why? Because I mean, it boils down to this politics of corruption and politics of business. When that kind of person wins, the first thing they're going to do is go and get their money back.
That's it. That's the first thing.
So I think our democracy needs to grow. I mean, we only started this journey in 1999, so we have to put up with a lot of these things. To be honest, as things go on, a lot of these things will fall by the wayside. But for now, I think it's just a feature of the immaturity of our democracy.
No, for instance, now,
we can't say the American democracy is immature. And I remember, sorry,
Femi, excuse me. What I'm trying to ask Ayo is that, look, why can't us find solution to most of all these problems?
We can't, because being in office in Nigeria can make a difference between being a millionaire and being a pauper. Right, so it's a do or die. Right, it's winner takes all.
Yes.
Right, so there's no look here. If you lose an election, you go on with your life. I mean, Femi was just talking about America. I did not see Hillary Clinton go to court.
I was going to mention that one. I was actually going to mention the Al Gore situation when they went to court, and that's a mature democracy. So the idea that we shouldn't go to court, I think, should be dispelled completely.
It's their right.
It's their right to do so.
We cannot dispel it.
It's their right to do so. And as I said, if it's okay for Atiku to go to court, it should equally be okay for anyone else, for that matter. And also today, what's his name, Agbaje, congratulated Sanwo-Olu on his victory. So it's not the case.
Agbaje.
Yes, he did. It's official.
He did congratulate.
So he did congratulate. So it's not the case that in Nigeria it never happens. Goodluck Jonathan conceded the results in 2015.
And you just have to have a whole load of respect for him for that. Buhari would never do that.
You see, at the end of the day, it all depends on the facts on the ground. I'm sure that if Atiku believed honestly within himself that he lost the election, he would have conceded. He doesn't believe he did. And anyone who doesn't believe, it'll be very wrong for you if you believe within yourself that you won the election not to go to court. I mean, that's ridiculous.
Allah, if you do it beforehand, if you do it before the election, so the election has not happened, but you're already stating clearly that you are going to court, what does that say?
I mean, I think this is a figment
of
imagination.
What I, as a party generally accepted to have been the third largest party in this election.
That's not true.
Let's just now.
Something like that.
You say that I'm gagging you.
You came 10th.
How
can you lie on national TV?
He was the third largest.
How is that the case?
He was the third largest.
How did you work that out?
He came after APC.
No, he didn't come after APC.
No,
he didn't even know the
there are
results.
some parties.
He's the third largest. I agree with
him. Oh my God, I can't believe we're even hearing this.
You better believe it, mate.
The man that was now put to be third
Wow.
In case that they said they put third. In case it was a man that actually said before they did the election, I'm plumping my vote for Atiku. So you can't have that, and then
you didn't even come 4th, 5th, or 6th. You came
look,
10th.
Look,
with 33,000 votes.
Look.
This is a fact.
So
Why are you
so
denying
who came
third?
Who came
third? You're going to come on national television
Wait, who came third?
and tell people complete
Ola, who
lies.
came third?
You had 33,000 votes.
Look, listen,
is that correct or not?
Ayo, it seems like you weren't third.
Let's not dispute the figures. Did you get 33,000 votes?
We're mixing up two things.
Let me answer.
He's saying they were the third largest party.
By votes.
No, he didn't say by votes.
No, he's trying to confuse us.
No, I wasn't. You were the one. No, I didn't.
How do you work out that you were the third largest?
No, maybe he's talking of members.
Who was the third?
No,
a guy called PCP, a party called
PSP.
I've never heard of
but
it.
he, if I may say, he actually at the last minute before the thing kicked off, he said, I'm now putting my weight behind Atiku. So, which means that before the salvo to say go to the electorate, he was saying, please, instead of voting for me, vote for Atiku.
So it means he wasn't interested.
He wasn't interested in. So he wasn't. So suddenly, to now bring that figure in, make of that what you will, but genuinely accepted. Even as we're speaking, look at Rivers. Look at Rivers as we're speaking now. I am, and interestingly enough, that vote has been suspended. It's been suspended.
It means that after the election, that you are going to win it.
Are you seriously taking credit for?
I don't see why not.
I think he should be allowed to. No, Femi, I think you're quite wicked. I think he should be allowed to.
No, let's
Femi, that's not nice. He should be allowed to.
Let's be honest. But listen, in actual fact, in all seriousness, one of the things that we need to, this process, as far as AAC is concerned, it's been a selection process, not an election. It has been.
But you've commended the election last week.
No.
You commended the election. You commended the success of the election.
What we said was
congratulations.
Okay, fine, you've won. We want to move on. But in actual fact,
you are coming back in 2000.
No.
2000.
We're coming back in 2020.
You're not coming back.
We're coming back in 2020.
Don't you think you should be doing some introspection to wonder why you only got 33,000 votes?
No. Because the elections were rigged.
Out of 91 parties.
And they didn't have money to rig the elections. Ayo, I think you should tell Femi that the elections were rigged and you guys didn't have enough money to rig the elections as well as APC.
So what would you say was the quantum of your votes then, your actual votes?
We will never know because the figures were just.
How many members do you have?
They were cocked up, thank you. That means they were rigged.
You know that it's guaranteed members that voted for you.
The problem you've got in AC now, if you win in Rivers State, you know you're going to have to change your tune.
Well, I mean, let's cross that bridge when we get to it. Because right now, with the suspension, we don't know.
Are you now in bed with the APC?
No.
So how comes
No, we're not.
Femi, let me quickly give this question to Mr. Obanlewo. Mr. Obanlewo, it's like there's an issue that Susie raised before we went on break. He mentioned regarding that, okay, most of the politicians, they see themselves as being the boss. Meanwhile, the law is the gods that you mentioned. Okay. Meanwhile, the electorate that voted for them, they couldn't have any power. And in the system, we have a power of, the electorate has a power of recalling any of these public office holders if they believe that they are not representing them, or they are not performing effectively, or they are not performing to expectation of the people. We know that there's a process of recalling. What do you think that is preventing people in exercising this power? You remember, was it not last year, one particular senator attempt was made to make that recall, and it wasn't. But people didn't come out. The comedian. People didn't come out.
That's a very, very good question. In Dino Milari's case, that was Kogi West.
Kogi West, yes, Senatorial.
He's been re-elected.
He's been re-elected, yes.
Oh, wow,
I'm gonna mention briefly about his case. Then I'll answer your question. You see, people are not stupid. I don't know what transpired between this particular senator and the incumbent governor in Kogi State.
No, I'm not talking about that. About that. I'm not concerned about that. Senator,
yeah, but it is still part of
the process of
it is still part, the process of recalling. You know, it is still.
There are many people that actually involved in some kind of anti-party activity, which the party themselves did not even make any effort of recalling.
Yes. Did they recall him?
They didn't recall many of them.
But we don't even know whether. What happened with Dino? We just saw him on the floor, and then after that, they didn't tell us that he's been forgiven.
That is the point I'm trying to. That is the point I'm trying to. That is the point I'm trying to make.
He's in the tree.
You see, that is the point I'm trying to make now.
No, the issue. The authority. I'm talking about the issue that Susie raised.
Yes, which is
to recall.
Which initially I started by saying, okay, I won't blame the politician again.
Okay.
I'm going to blame the people, the electorate, because it's like when the politician comes. He wanted to give money out. Somebody wanted to perpetrate an act. When you don't have a collaborator, is it going to be possible? Absolutely not. No. It won't be possible. No. So now, when they bring the money, I collect money, I've collected. Do you think that the next election up, if the person that's giving me money is performing below expectation, do you think I would be able to say anything due to the fact that I've been mortgaged my own conscience?
You see, the thing, you have to understand that he who plays the piper dictates the tune.
That is are you getting it clearly?
Yeah, I got the point clearly. The issue with our people is simple. Most politicians in Nigeria, they understand the rudiments of politics better than anybody. Why do you think most politicians in Nigeria want to hold on to power at all costs? Because they know that the acumen of a human being can only be defined by giving them money and power. So the only way they can stay relevant and remain relevant is by holding on to power at all costs. And when they have that power and that money that they so much dwell to have, then automatically what did they use this power and money for? They used it to suppress the people. And when you use that to suppress the people, automatically they become enslaved to you. So you can use them and toy with them as much as you want. And that is why the situation will always remain the same until we change the mindset and people have to now begin to understand that, listen, are we going to continue with this kind of trend, or we'll have to look for ways to make sure that this kind of antecedents don't repeat itself on a regular basis? Are you happy with my response, or you want me to expatiate further?
No, I'm fine.
So that's the problem. So the electorate need to be educated. And how do you educate people? When you elect people into office, do not allow these people to sell your conscience for a pot of porridge. Just like my brother said earlier, I think elections in Nigeria is now becoming a continuous trend whereby every 4 years, politicians will come with their bag of rice and bag of gari and say, okay, here you go, 10,000 naira. That is not how a democratic society should work. Okay? Irrespective of your situation in Nigeria, you must always believe that whatever you do today is going to have a damaging effect on the future of your children and many generations to come. So if you have, it's becoming, because in Nigeria now it's now becoming a system that is becoming monotonous. The same thing happens yearly, every 4 years, and unfortunately, a lot of people have been sucked into that kind of mentality, and unfortunately, it is continuing. And it will continue like that until when we educate our people, and just like my brother said earlier, I just don't agree with the age, I think probably Constitution should start with when children get to maybe secondary school.
Yeah, not 4 years old.
Not 4 years old.
Then you can be taught every Sunday in church or in the Quran. You can make it into an age-specific.
It's a different program.
Yeah, but you're right. You're simple right.
If you want them to honestly inculcate this into their curriculum, then I think it should start at secondary school level.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm saying to introduce the idea.
Political science.
It does, it's age specific.
And that is the problem we have. You see, the problem is most of these politicians understand that the average Nigerian, they're living a life of servitude.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And when people are living below the poverty level, all these kind of things, they are expected. When people are
the average politician has no respect for the masses.
If
they had respect for the masses, they would not be treating them in that manner.
Is the average politician any different from the average Nigerian?
Yeah, they got a bit more money and power.
No, because there's 109 senators in the Senate.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, if you went to Oshodi Market and picked 109 people at random, I suspect their thinking would not be any different from those.
No, you're right. You're right. I agree with you.
Because the leaders are a product of society.
Absolutely.
I agree with you.
Again, which boils back down to why it's very important to get into the young minds at an early age and inculcate the good practices, good behaviors, good, decent ways of thinking, so that by the time they get to 16 and they have to have a free thinking, they are more likely to operate in the,
Mr. Maduzo, I know you didn't really want me to expatiate much on that. You see, why did Dino Melai get elected again? He just like Femi said earlier on, he must be doing things which is pleasing to his
constituency. It's not something. The issue is, it's personal. It's not something we are going to discuss here.
But just to bolster his point, if you don't mind, that I keep saying it's the constitution that is the problem, because what are the hurdles that you have to cross in order to recall your politician? It's quite high. You have to have X amount of people that have to sign a petition. The numbers is staggering, like maybe 60% of the actual people that are on the voters register have to sign a petition, and then they have to verify those signatures. Do you know how long that's going to take? So they've made it a very difficult procedure on purpose, so that this procedure is invariably never going to happen. Because when it was they tried it out, they failed because they didn't get the number of signatures. So when you make the threshold for recalling very high, the incidence of recollection is going to be very small.
So but what I can say in this particular instance is this: we all knew what transpired then, and even if the process of recall was actually successful, it still wouldn't have worked anyway, because you can see that if people still wanted and believed in this guy, and that's why they re-elected him anyway.
As I said earlier on, that is one area which I want us to look at, because what I'm trying to let us try to look at, which is very important to people, is like, okay, people have been voted, and the expectation of people are high for them to expect that, okay, the people that have been voted need to perform. Especially about they don't perform. Our people need to be educated that, okay, if somebody doesn't perform, there are some certain process whereby even the state governors, even some other elective position as well, whereby the people can challenge. Now, I'm saying that the electors are the people to be blamed. It wasn't the people. It wasn't the elected officers, because it's whereby, look at United States, UK for instance, United Kingdom, United States of America, and some of all, most of all these other countries of the world. Femi raised the issue of whereby somebody is being a governor, perhaps going to declare borehole open or roads. There are many major projects in London and some other part of the world. You won't see anybody. There are many housing projects. Bigs, you don't even know when it's been.
You just see their name written there when you go there.
These people are just moving in when it's being commissioned. They don't even commission any ceremony. But in Africa, whereby even the amount of money spending in commissioning, you won't even, when you hear something, it's ridiculous.
Of mediocrity. Yeah.
So, but can I ask you something? Don't you think it is a joke on the Nigerian government to see them take one of their own? Let's just think of the way they treated Dino. Take him, arrest him, surround his house, and dump him in a hospital, take him out of a hospital, but never sit down and explain to the people what is going on. Don't you think it is a big disrespect?
You see, most of these issues are
personal.
Has to do with personal and politics.
No, but it shouldn't be personal. If you are going to surround, if you are going to lay siege in someone's house for 7 days with government money, it should not be personal. So, since you are ready to expose the fact that you want to arrest him to the public, since you're ready to expose that fact, when you make that decision that he's no longer guilty for whatever it was he done, shouldn't you be informing the public?
Sadly, the time is not our friend, and my attention is being drawn. It's like we are coming to the end of this program, and we believe that most of the elected officers have just been elected, from the president to the state governors, House of Assembly, by some few, May. They'll be handing over. And we do believe that we still have many things to discuss on this program. At this point, this is where we're going to draw the curtain of this program. But I will sincerely appreciate every one of you, all your contributions. Mr. Honorable Adeoye Obanlewo, once again, as sincerely, I thank you for your time and for your contribution always. And Suzireti, thank you very much for your own contribution as well. So, but today, you sound as if you belong to a political party. I'll try to investigate and know the party you are. My friend, the DG of the Nigerian Institute, as APC as ever. Even though you are not even representing APC today, you are here from your own department, that is the Nigerian Institute. I sincerely appreciate you, and I thank you. Most of the time, after the end of the program, I will start receiving calls. Go, bring Femi again, bring Femi again. We'll bring you when people request for you. And Citizen Ayo.
Bring Susie.
No, I'm not.
Citizen Ayo. They said that your constitution, they'll be asking me, are you a lawyer? No, I said, you are my friend, you are not a lawyer. No. You are an accountant. Yes. But it's like so passionate. So you are so passionate about the constitution. And you even want to. You have even been wanting us to be teaching the constitution from
4-year-olds.
From 1 year or to 4 years. From it's like
4 years.
4 years. Age specific.
Yeah. Mr. Ayo Akife, thank you very much for that. I'm receiving a call that they are linking up with Yomi Koiki in Nigeria. Maybe Yomi has a message for us. So let's quickly wait for him. We've been expecting, but we haven't heard from him. Okay. So, is Yomi ready with his first second? Okay. So, in this regard, I think if I should call the tempo, I believe Mr. Akife will be the right person to be on floor to address the issue of this between the politician and the electorate. What are the measures to ensure that this night assembly is going to be peaceful? The legislature is going to do exactly what people wanted. Although we believe that the 8th assembly, this present assembly, enacted a lot of laws. But some people believe that there are some certain laws that is not touching the people.
Well, yeah, there will be a few. There's a whole host of areas, like, constitutional review, for instance, is one of those areas where I think, the Electoral Act hasn't been passed, the Petroleum Industry Bill hasn't been passed. There's some, I would like us to pass a disability bill. I would like us
That's been passed.
Buhari just forgot it was passed.
It's been passed. I don't know what, he signed it into law. I don't know how he could forget when he signed it himself. How can he forget something that he signed?
I just hope, you see, we always have this impasse when there's a fight between the legislature and the executive. What happened last time around, if you recollect, the APC senators went to see President Buhari and he was still asleep.
Oh my
and
God.
while they were waiting for him to wake up, Saraki connived with the PDP to get himself material.
Yes.
So what? I hope President Buhari doesn't sleep like that this time.
He won't be sleeping. I can guarantee that. We can keep him awake.
Yomi Koiki is us. Yomi?
Hello?
Hello, Yomi.
What's happened to him?
The screen's frozen.
I think the screen is
Yomi is...
so what's going to happen?
It's a journalist.
That's Nigerian internet, right?
Yes.
APC, what are you doing about our internet?
I don't understand why Susie puts everything in the lap of APC and the president. So if you can't go to the toilet, it's the president's fault.
Well,
Babes, I'm sorry, but why do we have a head if he's not responsible?
So must the head be blaming any
The head has to take, if nobody is responsible. That's why
Everyone
Nigeria is messed up.
But that can't
Because
make sense.
no one's responsible. Who is responsible?
No one. It can't make sense.
People to take it to
blame.
you will see how
Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's.
What we do need is
I know, they
certainly
argue
that
like
a lot of
clowns.
people, I want Nigerians to
you
make
see
sure
how
that
people
we
will
begin
write
to
letter.
ask
Then you'll
questions.
be
We need
disturbed.
to, we have
But
to,
they are.
we have to
They are.
think
No, as
the
in
way
write letter.
of fair.
But they are.
People will be writing you.
People are.
Because we are
Writing
afraid,
to
but
me.
people
That what?
are still generally afraid of our
He
leaders.
said they are not working.
They
Look
are-
up to the very head.
They look at the head, yes.
I mean, I'll just give you an example. I'm the president of one or two organizations, right? And members come to me. They come to me for the social secretary's job. They come to me for the PRO's job. They come to me for the welfare secretary's job. And I'm like, that has been delegated. I don't want to usurp another official's power. You know, but that's just how we are. I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but that is just how we look to the very head. So whatever happens, people are going to look to Buhari.
Yes,
I
full
don't
stop.
think it's different
What's
in any
he doing?
country. In the UK,
What's his
Brexit is being blamed on Theresa May, but she wasn't the one that set up Brexit.
But she's
That was
responsible for it.
That was done under Cameron. So at the end
But
of the
she
day,
took that
she's
role
responsible
on.
for it right now, but it's down to Parliament. Look, the thing is, it's like I keep referring to the Constitution. And I know you, similar way to Aya, but in a different way. Our legislators, for example, if you want to find out who is writing who's there and in attendance when they're making laws, do you know whether your senator or your House of Rep is even in the chambers? Whether he attends, does he even vote? What was his view on the voting? So, for example, if I wanted to say I don't want my people to vote for that senator because he's anti-diaspora voting, you won't be able to find that record because there's no record. So you need no, because the way they do their voting is all those in favour say aye. Say aye. You don't know who's saying aye.
But you do know who's there.
No,
they have to sign in,
as
don't
I just
they?
said, you say aye and you say nay. You don't know. So when you have, like what they do here is that let's go to the lobbies. They open the lobbies.
Okay, yeah.
Then you know who went into that lobby and the aid and so on. Or in other countries which have electronic voting, they press yes or no.
Yes.
No, they'll be able to see it on the
So
screen.
we should be asking them, as I said, in terms of the agenda for the legislature, in the first 100 days, that kind of law. We want transparency. When you make a law, we want to know which of you are making that law, so we can hold them to account.
Do you have to know who made
Yes,
the
you
law?
do. Of course you do.
Isn't the most important thing that you know the majority?
No, you need to know.
it doesn't work.
You're asking about
Goes on the
accountability. You're asking about accountability. How are you going to hold someone to account if you don't know what he's doing?
Well, if I vote, I should be able to vote in private. You shouldn't. Sorry, you shouldn't have to know who voted. But what you do need to know, what decision was made, and the decision, because regardless of how I vote, there's going to be a decision made by the majority. Once that decision is made, that is what happens, and that is what the accountability stands for.
You talked about accountability, and I'm just going back to that.
Yes, and I'm agreeing with you. I'm not taking away.
There's a collective responsibility, and there's an individual. There's a collective. If you're doing your private, you remember, if you're voting for yourself.
No, I'm talking about them voting.
Yeah, so they're not private citizens. They're voting on the behalf of their people. So their people deserve a right to know. What are you voting for? Which side are you on? I want to know. If there was a law that says we're going to castrate all men, for example, I want to know whether my senator was one of them.
Okay, go. We have this in Ondo Central. Our senator, Colin Orova, he went to Senate and he voted for Yerima's bill to legalize child marriages.
You see what I'm saying?
We nearly beheaded him.
Okay, maybe I was wrong.
And
Maybe I was wrong there.
And we told him, no. Nobody sent you to vote.
So did you get rid of him?
We have got rid of him now, yeah.
But did you get rid of him at the time?
We didn't.
Exactly.
No, because they couldn't, though, because then the election was, we could say that was kind of massaged, so who knows what happened then.
Due to some technical issues, we were unable to contact Olayomi Koiki in Nigeria, and I believe at this point we have to draw the curtain of this program today. As I said earlier on, I sincerely appreciate every one of you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for your fantastic contributions. It was highly interactive, and I sincerely believe that when next we call on you guys, you're definitely going to answer us. And many Nigerians, many of our viewers do call and appreciate everyone's contribution. So on this note, I would like to draw the curtain of this program. Viewers at home, we sincerely appreciate your time for being with us as well. From the News and Current Affairs Department, my name is Oladeji Dawodu. Bye for now.
Heritage Television. Promoting African culture and heritage at its best. From talk shows that concern you to both local and international news that relates to you. From grassroots football to African children's programs. Heritage Television. We cover your social and special events like weddings, birthdays, church anniversaries, and so on, and broadcast them live on our apps and online. Heritage Television, broadcasting everything about culture and heritage. Heritage Television. We've got it covered. Do download our apps on both Android, iOS, and Windows mobile platform. Heritage Television, your very own TV station.
Tolu A. Akinyemi, a renowned poet, author, and performer, brings to us Dead Cats Don't Meow, a metrical masterpiece which invokes love and respect for life. Dead Cats Don't Meow is his first published work and third collection in his poetry for the Discerning series after Dead Lions Don't Roar and Dead Dogs Don't Bark. Tolu shares his gift of writing with people far and wide. Recently, he received an endorsement as a writer with exceptional talent from the Arts Council England. Each poem examines a part of life, a sensation, a reaction, or an emotion. Individually, the verses breathe their own beat, while the collection knits together perfectly to present an idyllic anthology. Dead Cats Don't Meow is written to help you find your own voice in a world with a cacophony of voices. Join Tolu A. Akinyemi at one of the 4 events to celebrate the launch of Dead Cats Don't Meow. Thursday, April 4, 2019, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. at the Poetry Cafe, the Poetry Society, 22 Betterton Street, Covent Garden, London. Saturday, April 13th, 2019, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Museum Center, Function Room, 8 and 9 Marina Road, Onikan, Lagos, Nigeria. Thursday, May 2, 2019, 7 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. The Leeds and Phil, 23 Westgate Road, Newcastle upon Tyne. Thursday, May 9, 2019, 5:45 p.m. to 7:15 p.m. The Avenue Library and Learning Center, 9 Victoria Avenue East, Blackley, Manchester. RSVP, tolutoludo.com. Dead Cats Don't Meow is available at Waterstones, Barnes & Noble, eBay, Amazon, Patabar, and other outlets.
My daughter-in-law, so how are you planning for my son's birthday? I have to cook for her. Do you people have ogirisi there? No? It's okay. Okay, let me call you back. Mama Chiji, okay. Hi, so wait a market. Please pack some ogirisi. I am going to visit my son. My daughter-in-law, it's arranged. But you must use original red oil to prepare the soup. What? I'll call you back. Mama Chijo, please include Ese Odo, my daughter-in-law. Everything is now set. But don't forget that gold wristwatch I saw the last time I visited her.
Now you can talk until you tire for just 11 kobo per second. Call all networks in Nigeria and 30 international destinations, including US, UK, China, Canada, and India for just 11 kobo per second. Dial *211# to activate.
That's Silk Boo-Boo.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.